Good morning. It is a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. Coming up on the program today, the regular Tuesday stuff. Patrick Stevens will join us. We'll talk the weekend that was in college lacrosse. We'll also talk about the possibility of maybe Maryland reuniting with Ian Martinez. It's kind of a crazy story. Also, we'll get into County Sports Zone Radio with our friend Wes Brown. And we're going to meet an intriguing NFL draft prospect for the Baltimore Ravens. He's a safety from Air Force. His name is Trey Taylor, and he happens to be a cousin of Ed Reed. Although it's a weird thing where, like, apparently he's Ed Reed's cousin, but he calls him Uncle Ed. I'm guessing that's because of the age difference. I don't know how that works. We're going to talk to him about that and figure out what that's all about. But very intriguing prospect. Perhaps a future Baltimore Raven. All of that coming up on the program today. Today's show brought to you by Ruth's Chris. Whether you're just celebrating a night out, maybe a well-deserved date night, you're celebrating some sort of milestone or special occasion, or perhaps you're looking for the perfect place to entertain some clients, allow Ruth's Chris to prove to you why it is that they have been known not just for the steaks, but the service, the best service, that level of hospitality that has made them one of the most revered names in steaks since 1965. Make your reservation right now at ruthschris.com. Orioles win. Orioles win. It was the second most important story in my life last night, but I guess for everybody else, it was probably the most important. To me, man of the match was not that difficult a choice, and I was a little bit worried that other people would, what about Jordan Westbrook? I think everybody got it. Everything about last night's game, the tone for that set by one play, and then, of course, Cedric Mullins ended up after the catch. I swear to God, it feels like every time he has a catch like that, he also has a home run. I know that's not remotely true, but like think about the cycle game. You think about the Seattle game. I don't know if that catch in Minnesota last year, if he had a home run in that game, but you just feels like whenever he makes a catch of the year, he also just so happens to hit a home run in the same game. And my God, that was a catch. And it's not just the nature of, the amazing nature of the catch. It's about the circumstances early on in the game. It's about considering that at least one run is going to score that inning. Obviously, the runner on third base is going to score if he doesn't make that catch. But then the inning continues with a pitcher who you have a shaky amount of trust in and who only went 4 2/3 innings anyway. I don't know that the floodgates come open at that point, but I sure as hell don't know that they don't. What a catch like that does for the entire team, and then to add on to it, a home run that clearly proved to be quite significant. Cedric Mullins, easy choice for me as man of the match yesterday. Credit to the Orioles bullpen. That's the other part about, if Cole Irvin gets knocked around early, we had talked about that they might have some bullpen issues. Obviously, Craig Kimbrell continues what has been a very good season. Yanier Cano steps up, pitching in a back-to-back. I don't know who's available tonight. I have no idea who's available for the Orioles now tonight. Out of the bullpen.
Bauman will be available.
Yeah, Bauman will be available. That's fine. Anybody else?
Let me see.
I can't even remember.
Figure it out.
Well, Keegan Aiken didn't pitch last night, right?
No, he pitched a third of an inning.
Oh, that's right. He did come on.
He threw.
But he's available.
He threw 16 pitches.
Is it really 16 pitches?
Yeah, he got hit a little bit hard. He let up 2 hits.
Right.
His 1 out was a strikeout. So I guess did he face 3 batters? Yeah, I guess he faced 3 batters and.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Well, I don't know who's available. Well, I still 16 probably.
Johan Rodriguez, is that how you say his name?
Yes. Ramirez, not Rodriguez, right? Isn't it Ramirez?
I thought it was Rodriguez.
I think it's Ramirez.
No, that's somebody else.
Who?
Johan.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's Rodriguez. Yeah, I think you're making things up now.
Ramirez.
Yeah.
Are we sure?
Johan Ramirez. I'm 100%.
Oh, okay. All right. It is Johan Ramirez.
How dare you? How dare you? Orioles legend Johan Ramirez, and you're not showing him the respect he deserves.
I apologize to Johan and his family.
The entire Ramirez family.
Yeah.
Uncle Manny,
Is that
cousin Aramis, all of them. There's other Ramirezes. Alexi. Who are the other Ramirezes? There are other Ramirezes.
Rasmus.
Jose, Erasmus, all of them. Apologize to every single one of his cousins. All right. Let's move Ryan O'Hearn up top. Ryan O'Hearn with another home run last night.
Was that, so what was the other argument?
Westbrook.
Westbrook had a good night.
Yeah,
Westbrook had a good
He had
night.
a very good game. But he didn't make that catch.
Mullins still drove in 3. It was.
Yeah. I mean, it was Cedric Mullins. It really, to me, it
I
wasn't.
loved how
it wasn't close.
I loved how they played his walk up song right after he made the catch in the stadium last night.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
that's
it was
cool.
really cool.
That's a cool bit.
Cool.
Well, and then you add in the element of it happening on Jackie Robinson
Yeah.
Day, which is cool too. Like everything about it was cool. It was a cool moment. And look, man, this happened again when we were talking to Jeremy Kahn yesterday. Like I get. It's like personal. And I don't even know Cedric all that well. Like he used to be a regular and we've had some conversations, but I don't have a personal relation. I wouldn't say that. I mean, I don't think he would recognize me, honestly. Maybe I'm wrong about that. It's not personal, but it feels personal for me. And it's more just about how much I like Cedric Mullins, the baseball player. When you guys talk about like, and Jeremy said yes, and I'm not trying to go to war with Jeremy because, he's one of my best friends. But, like, when he said yesterday there's a few areas where it feels like you could still do better, left field, first base, center field. I was like, whoa. You settle down. I've said this every time you guys have brought up Cedric Mullins' name in, like, trying to move on from veterans and guys that I don't agree with you. I don't, and I never will. You constantly get reminders of it, but it's not a statistic that you can read. The ground that Cedric Mullins covers in center field is different. He's not, an adequate center fielder. In fact, he covers so much ground that he's a plus center fielder despite the fact that he doesn't have much of an arm. That's how much ground Cedric Mullins covers in center field. Now, I get it. Like, if Cedric Mullins were hitting 200, it would be problematic. It's tough to... It's tough anymore to give any spot on the field to someone who's not hitting. The Orioles have done it a little bit with second baseman the last couple of years, but it's very difficult to give a spot in your lineup to anybody. Now, Cedric Mullins is hitting again on top of everything else, so all's good here. But when you guys talk about upgrading, I think you miss it. Now, could that be different if in the future you have other outfield? Anthony Santander, we always talk about his arm. Ironically, I think he's also added to his range in right field as well. And I don't have the number to back that up. I haven't looked at Baseball Savant to see if there's any update there. It feels like he has added to his range on top of what we know is his outstanding arm. But not to the point where I'm comfortable taking a step back. We also don't know if Anthony Santander is going to be around for a while. What Cedric Mullins does to allow you to have other bats in the outfield is different. It's not the same. And I get it. There are a lot of athletic center fielders, and somebody would say, hey, center field is where you put your most athletic. I know exactly what you're saying. Cedric Mullins still stands out amongst that group. It is a difficult conversation to consider the idea of extending Cedric Mullins. I have been a proponent of it over the last couple of years. I understand that a lot of us believe that Colton Cowser was supposed to be a Major League center fielder, and so it kind of feels like Cedric Mullins would be blocking Colton Cowser, but I don't know that I'm as convinced that Colton Cowser needs to be a center fielder as other people are. I understand that you're looking at maybe the future of like Heston Kjerstad and Colton Cowser, and is Kyle Stowers still a part of this equation? Is Connor Norby a future outfield? And you're saying to yourself, like, is there room for any of these guys to be extended? And I also understand that Cedric Mullins is a little bit older than most guys when they come up on their free agent year. But I am still interested because the value of what he brings to the table with the ground that he covers and his knack for delivering in the biggest moments. You know, the Cedric the Entertainer thing works so freaking well for that guy. I don't know that they're going to do it. I don't know that it's going to be a priority for Mike Elias. And, yeah, I think it's a little bit more personal for Orioles fans because we connect Cedric Mullins with, like, a myriad of our favorite moments in this modern Orioles run. I joke about it, but like literally all of our favorite moments from last season. Name anything from last season, any individual play. Besides all of the ones that Cedric Mullins made. Because there's like 10 that you can think of that are related to Cedric Mullins. And then everything else you're like, well, I know that guy was good. But you don't remember anything that he did. You just know he was good.
Hadley hit a walk-off against the Angels.
There was that. That is true. All right, you got one.
That might be the only other one.
I mean, but that's and I said, like, obviously there would be people that are somebody's screaming like, no, I remember more than. I'm not saying that no one remembers any, but my God, they're dwarfed by every memory we have. Off the top of your head, you can name Seattle. Off the top of your head, I guess Ryan O'Hearn's home run against the Blue Jays would be pretty high on my list. Yeah, that was very high on my list from last year, but mostly because I was like, Ryan O'Who?
O'Hearn.
All right, sure, why not? I just effing love Cedric Mullins, man, and I would like for him to be patrolling center field for another 4 to 5 years because I have so much faith. And I get it, like you're approaching mid-30s at that point. But mid-30s. Then I can live if like 1 year at the end you got to make an awkward decision. The guy just has an unbelievable knack for the incredible. And to say he saved the game last night, it's too much. It's too much because it was one run on a night where the Orioles scored a bunch. But I don't know. I don't know how that turns. Again, Cole Irvin had moments where he looked like he was, was it the second inning where he went 3 up, 3 down, and then
I think it was the inning. It had to be the inning because Jose Miranda hit the home run.
That's right, in the second inning. So it was the third inning then.
Yeah, I think so. But he also had a big strikeout in the second inning too. So
he had moments.
Yeah.
He had moments. I'm probably not panicked about. I don't think I'm in the place that we talked about last night where, like, can Cole Irvin make his next start? I think they're going to say yes, that Cole Irvin can make his next start. They also, with the off day.
I mean, he gets hit really hard.
I don't know that when I say can make his next start, I don't know that he'll pitch on Sunday. I still think they've got to figure out. They're obviously going to do it with Corbin Burns. It would be a different. They still have to factor in Grayson Rodriguez's innings when it comes to whether or not they'd be willing to do it with Grayson. So the option would be that Grayson could pitch tonight, and then he could pitch again on Sunday, and you can move Cole Irvin back to next week. Um, given how the Royals have been playing of late, You know,
Probably want Grayson.
wait, who do they face next?
They're going from Kansas City straight to Anaheim. No day off.
I don't know. I don't know if they're in a place yet where they're willing to do that with Grayson. It's a much different world with Corbin Burns because you have no thought about his innings. You have no thought about, and in fact, he's probably screaming for you to say, yes, let me pitch again this week. But I don't know if they're in the same place yet with Grayson where they would say, I mean, maybe it's a question of how easy is this start tonight? With a taxed bullpen, they probably want to push it a little bit with Grayson tonight. If they could get a seventh inning out of him, then that would be very good for this team. So if that's what happens, then maybe they're less inclined coming off a 7-inning start to let him turn around and start on Sunday. I would say it's a 9-0 to me that Grayson could start again on Sunday and that you could do the same thing with Cole Irvin just because, again, you want fewer Cole Irvin starts and more starts from your real pitchers. And you do have the opportunity to have a real pitcher make an extra start, and you're still hopeful that you won't have to do this as much should Kyle Bradish, who's apparently going to start tonight is his night at Bowie. Mm-hmm. So if you're not going to the Orioles game tonight, it's a real shame that the Orioles are at home because, if they were away, then it'd be a great night to go to Bowie. But if you're not going to the Orioles game tonight, you could go check out Bowie. By the way, Cedric Mullins this year, 92nd percentile in range, according to Baseball Savant. Which, by the way, still seems low to me, right?
It does.
There's still
Who's
a part of
got
me that
more range.
He's listed as the number 2.
Oh, okay.
So
there's only X amount of guys that qualify even at this point, or
And by the way, they also have his arm up at 87.
I saw that too. Well, what's the difference between arm value and
strength? Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know what the difference is because they don't rank his arm strength. I guess that just means he hasn't had to throw.
His arm value last year was he was 17th percentile.
Yeah,
year,
I mean, but we know.
But then his arm strength was in the 54th percentile.
Well, I don't. You know what? Maybe this is where we're gonna have to stop. We don't know what we're talking about. Book somebody from Baseball Savant to explain it all to us. We'll get on that at some point. Did you check on my Santander thought?
So we wanted to.
I just want to know. I feel like his range has improved.
I mean, this year I don't think he has had he's in the 41st percentile.
Okay,
but
take it all back.
I mean, he hasn't had a ton of chances this year. So last season his range wasn't good either.
All right, I take it all back.
32nd percentile.
Take it all back. I don't know. For some reason, it just felt.
His outs above average was minus. Oh, so that's what range is. It's their outs above average. So he's not second. He has 2 outs above average.
Oh, that's what that is?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. Yeah. Take it all. Take everything back.
Yeah, we need to find a baseball.
Take everything back. Somebody's got to teach us more about baseball. I know that percentage is good. I know that.
I know that Mullins has more red on his. Which is good.
You definitely want that. That's what you want. All right. Wow. Somebody listening to this understands Baseball Savant is like, you guys are idiots. Yes. Hi, Glenn Clark.
And it's not that there was in the 12th percentile range factor in 2022.
I mean, look, range has always been his issue. Let's be honest. Range has always been his problem.
And maybe that's why, because we're always surprised when he makes a play. We're like,
wow. Yeah, the arm part is the part that I don't understand because Santander's arm is definitely strong.
Right.
He has a strong arm.
And I wonder, is it teams know that he's got a good arm and they just won't test him as often? And
maybe. I don't know.
He just doesn't have many opportunities, and when they do test him, they know that they're going to make it, so that's why.
Well, you've got to be wrong about the other thing because 2 years ago last year I pulled up Santander's numbers and it's got his arm strength at 86.7. So I don't think he got 86.7 outs. So I don't know what that number is there.
Yeah. What the arm strength number means?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm talking about that. The range. The range is OAA.
But I don't know that that's the number of outs versus.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just talking about range factor. I don't know how they measure arm.
Okay, we got to stop talking about this because we are definitely coming off like certified dolts. I mean, utter and complete dolts as we're having this conversation.
I'm just talking about range.
We don't know what we're saying. We are.
The range is measuring outs above average.
I understand that, but I don't know that means that the number to the right is definitively the number of outs above average. That seems.
Well, because I saw it on his when you go down and you can look at his Statcast outs above average, and it's the same number
for everything. Did you cross check that with someone else to reconfirm?
I guess no, I didn't.
I would consider doing that before we speak on something definitively. If you get that from like 2 more places, then I think we can confidently say that's the correct answer. Like, it is also possible that that is a ranking, and it just so happens to be that he also has 2 out. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like we shouldn't say things so definitively until we know they're definitive. God, this has been a banner segment. This is a Baltimore banner segment. Why haven't they hired us? This is the one. Send this. Are the Marconi Awards, what day are they? Have we gotten our invitation yet? Bottle this up. Send it to the Broadcasting Hall of Fame. Say, for your consideration.
I think we were pretty good until.
I think we were like close. I think we were a cousin of figuring something out and having something to say. I think we were in like that neighborhood where maybe we had a thought, but we couldn't fully flush it out. But that's okay.
I thought we got pretty close.
I appreciate your belief in us. I appreciate that. The point is Cedric Mullins is really good. That's the point of all of it, and that's all that really matters. And I know he's really good, and the numbers say he's really good. We just don't know exactly what all the numbers mean, but that's okay because we don't have to know that to know that he's good. And I, Glenn Clark, I approve this message. Orioles win the opener. Grayson Rodriguez goes tonight, and they could really, really use some innings out of Grayson Rodriguez this evening. After it was, the last couple of days, 4 2/3 out of Cole Irvin, their bullpen is stretched, almost to the point where you wonder if they don't need to call up a fresh arm. Maybe they try to go one more day with that and hope for the best from Grayson tonight and don't make that type of decision. Does Ramirez have options? By the way, I don't even know if he does. He also pitched well enough the other day that you're not in a rush to send him now. Just trying to think of who all has options. I guess, does Bauman still have options? Like, this is we got into the part of the season where, unfortunately, when your bullpen's taxed, it's not, you might make decisions not based on, like, hey, you deserve a demotion as much as, like, hey, man, we just have to, we got to get a fresh arm, and you're the guy that we have the option to do it with.
Austin Hayes has an option?
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
I don't think they do that. I don't see it.
Dylan Tate has 2 options. Aiken has an option. Cano has 2 options. Everybody else.
None of those guys are guys that.
Yeah, that you want to send down.
Yeah. Damn it.
Bauman is out of options.
How is Bauman out of options?
Yeah, you don't remember. I guess because we optioned him. I guess it's.
I just don't remember how many years it's been with Bauman because it dates. Then you start dating back to the dark ages when I wasn't paying attention. So, like, it could be 6 years at this point with Bauman. I just don't. Off the top of my head, I don't remember. All right. The Orioles will continue the series, as I mentioned, with the Twins tonight. Grayson Rodriguez on the mound for Game 2 against Chris Paddock, and then it'll be Tyler Wells. They do have the off day on Thursday, and then they head to Kansas City this weekend. And, God, don't look now, but Kansas City, red hot. The other sports story from last night, of course, was the WNBA draft, and I wasn't with it at the start, but I got into it, and the scene was really cool, as had been expected. Get off of the heat of the most significant season, arguably in the history of women's college basketball. The WNBA able to cash in, create an awesome event. Angel Reese goes in the first round. The former St. Francis star, of course, ended up winning a national championship at LSU. She gets picked 7th overall by the Chicago Sky. That's where her career will continue. Congratulations to Angel Reese. Today's show brought to you by Atman's Deli. Atman's Deli, the new location is open in Harbor Point. And it's everything you love about the original Atman's Deli, but now also they have a bar on top of everything. So it's all of the delicious corned beef piled high. It's the hand-rolled bagels every morning. It's the soups. It's the desserts, fresh made right there at Atman's. They got the pickle bar. All the deli sandwiches are wonderful. And now it's not just a place where you come in and have a sandwich. It's a place where you come in, have a sandwich, hang out, watch a game, make an evening out of it, atmansdeli.com. Great specials throughout the week. You can find them there. Check out the brand new Atman's Deli in Harbor Point. We are just over a week out from the start of the NFL draft, and our next guest is someone whose name is going to be called during the course of the draft. And a little intriguing, the Ravens brought him in for a visit recently, and he has a pretty significant connection with a pretty significant former Raven. Joining us now, he's a safety from Air Force. He's Trey Taylor, and he's with us here on GCR. Trey, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us this morning.
No, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Looking to be on, and it'll be fun.
Hey, man, so let me get this straight, right? Because the connection that we reference is you call Ed Reed your uncle, but he's actually like your cousin. Can you flush all that out for me?
Yeah, for sure. So he married into my family, and I guess we married into his family too. So that's how the bond actually came. Then my dad played high school ball with him, so it all just kind of made it even better. You know,
Wow.
he would come over to my dad's house, you know, whenever things weren't going well in the city of New Orleans where they were from. My dad and him kind of depended on one another. So
wow,
they grew that relationship, then married into the family with one another. And then, you know, now after a few years of him being out and me kind of carrying a little bit of the torch, now the relationship has been better than ever.
That's really cool, man. Like, can you tell me a little bit about that? You know, Ed's one of our favorites, obviously, not just because he was a hell of a player, but you know, he's a dude that always does the right things, and we've been connected with his foundation for years. But can you tell me about what that relationship has been like for you as you've gone through this path? Like, how much, you know, have you reached out to him? How much has he worked with you from a football standpoint, or talked to him just about like life and making this type of jump?
Yeah. So for me, it started off at a young age with him, you know, kind of giving me a few pointers, but nothing serious. You know, as a young kid, you're not going to put too much on
Right.
on kids that age. But it was just nice having somebody like I knew of Ed Reed. I had seen some of his, you know, game film, you know, even at that young age. So it was nice to know that a legend like that was in my life. But now it makes all the difference. You know, I can call him and talk about anything football wise. He gives me all types of input when it comes down to post game. You know, we'll sit down and talk for 30 minutes to an hour just about small things going on, what he saw in the game,
Wow.
what I can fix, things that he did in his game that, you know, I could input into mine and just create a little bit bigger toolbox for me. How he reads things with the quarterback, how he reads things with receivers, how he reads things with linemen. The small pointers that make the game a little bit easier for me and slow things down for me as well. And those just worked tenfold for me. So I'm thankful to have him like that. And, you know, even outside of that, you know, when it comes to talking about financial advisors and talking about stocks and investments and what he, you know, sees himself doing for his future career and, you know, how I can better the money that I'm about to get in my pocket, how I can make that expand for a lifetime. You know, he starts giving me pointers about that. Like it's really, really nice to have somebody like that wherewithal in my life.
Bro, what a blessing that is, man. Like that is incredible.
No.
I mean, it'd be incredible to have anybody doing that with you, right? But for it to be Ed Reed, that's amazing. So, is there one particular like way that, as you've gone about whether, because you mentioned like there was few better than Ed about film and preparation, right? And he talks a lot about how much Ray Lewis impacted him in that way. But is there anything that you do, whether it's in preparation or when you're on the field, like that you? Like when it happens, you're like, oh man, I know I do that because it's something that Ed talked to me about. Like, is there anything in your game that you think has been most impacted by him?
Yeah, 100%. And that's going to be quarterback read or quarterback intention. I can break on a ball now and not have seen the quarterback have even looked that way yet. And there's some things that he's shown me with quarterback intention through just game film that you can see, okay, he did this, this, and this for the first 3 games of the season. He's not just going to change it up this game because of who he's playing. You know, look at these similarities and attack that weakness that you see. So whether a quarterback looks off in direction and then always goes back to his number one read on the backside because he knows that looking off might create some room or space for the receiver, or whether he eyes down wherever he feels like he's going, or whether you can see, from the helmet where his eyes are, if he, is looking in the corner of his eye to, where he's about to throw the ball. So how he has his feet set, if it's an RPO or if it's going to be a long ball, like it's things like that. Like I can look back on film, Sam Houston State game that we talked about before, where the quarterback the quarterback looks away
Yeah.
and then goes to the one read. Like I broke on the ball before the quarterback even looked,
Wow.
to the boundary. So I made that play, and then UNLV, looking at quarterback side eyeing exactly who he knows he's going to throw the ball to, went to go make a play on the ball just because I knew that I knew what Ed told me, so
Dude,
kind of applied it, worked out.
This is so have you gotten of course famously Ed known for trying to bait a quarterback, right? Like for trying to get. Have you gotten to that point of deception where like you're on the field trying to get a quarterback to think you're doing one thing in order to be able to go break on the ball the other way?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I did it a lot more my junior year than senior year, actually.
Okay.
But, if you look at the 2 interceptions I had my junior year, both those were literally just baiting. I was sitting back, scooching back, not even really backpedaling. I was trying to make enough room between me and the receiver for the quarterback to feel comfortable to throw the ball.
That's awesome.
And as soon as I saw any motion of throwing, I broke as fast as I could, and it just worked out.
Yo, we need you in Baltimore, bro. This is like, man. Trey Taylor from Air Force is with us here on GCR, dude. That's so cool. All right, so I do want to know the other element that's like fascinating about your story, which is the Air Force side of things, right? Like, this is not for everybody to make that type of commitment and choose to go to the Air Force Academy, right? Like, walk me through why that was something that you were up for doing and what it did for you to spend these last few years not just playing, obviously, but going through the regimen of being at a place like Air Force Academy. Trey, you still there? Oh, I think we lost Trey Taylor. We'll try to get him back real quick. Dude, I could listen to him talk about how he's kind of replicated Ed. I could listen to that for forever. That was awesome. Trey Taylor is with us, Air Force safety here on GCR. Trey, yeah, the willingness to sign up for a commitment at the Air Force Academy and doing this, where did it come from, and how has it impacted you, the time, the discipline that comes with that, and spending these last few years out in Colorado Springs?
Yeah, so honestly, to be real with you, before college, I had no intention of going to the military at all. I was chasing, a bigger offer. I was chasing, all sorts of stuff. I was kind of getting hailed and recruiting because it's a business, and that's just the way that it goes in college. And but that's just the way it is. I think that when I made the decision to go to the academy, initially it was more for, this is the best decision I can make for myself in terms of academics and football, being like conforming into one, being the best that I can do in both of those states, and also having a set future and solid future for my family in case the NFL didn't work out. Well, the 4.5 years I spent at the academy, I realized how much more that the academy experience in the military means to me now, the rest of my family, and the whole country. Like, there's things that, I've been able to do at the academy, people that I've been able to meet, networks that I've been able to make, that I wouldn't have been able to do at any other school. I can sit here and say I know my groomsmen already, and
Wow.
I think that's a really special bond that I've made with a lot of people at the academy. Some that don't even play football. So that's been special as well. With there's a legacy that it leads. The long blue line is real. Anybody that wants to join a brotherhood outside of football, the military is a perfect way to do it. There's so much stuff that's happened in our history that things are coming back tenfold right now, and it's an honor to just be a part of something like that. That it's something that people never take for granted, and I promise you, I never will.
That's powerful to hear you say that. I know this has been a hotly debated subject in the last couple of years, but what is the reality for you? And I think, is it different at Air Force maybe than the other academies as far as, being able to play immediately and what you're still going to do service-wise moving forward? What is the reality for guys that are in your shoes right now?
Yeah, so for right now, we're able to go and play for however long as we want, for as long as we can, outside of our commitment with the Air Force. And then the day that we're done with football, we'll go back into the force and serve for 5 years. We'll fulfill our service for 5 years. So
Okay.
we'll do that right after our playing days, but we're good to go right in.
That's awesome. That's the way it should be for every academy. And that's Glenn Clark saying that, not Trey Taylor. I don't want to get you in trouble with anybody, but I feel very strongly about that. And I've known a lot of cats at Navy, obviously, back here over the last couple of years. That I want to see everybody get that opportunity. Trey, when it does come to service, what will that ultimately look like for you? Is it are you a pilot? Are you like what is it going to be whenever that day comes down the road that you're going to do with your service career?
Yeah, so you got to figure some of that stuff out. Whenever I get back into the service.
Yeah,
because,
hopefully you're 40. At
my
that
dream.
point.
Yeah, for real. But whenever that time does come, I'd love to go back and be a pilot. But there's just some discrepancies that they have about coming back into the service and then being a pilot after another professional career.
Okay.
Never know what goes on with people's brains. Never know what goes on with people's bodies. They don't want people to be behind the body of a plane, with other people's lives and something mishap just because of, something that happened in our prior, professional career. So I kind of get where they're coming from, but I'm gonna push for that to be a pilot whenever I go back.
Have you do you know how to fly a plane right now?
I know how to glide behind the plane. I know how to.
I mean, that's not nothing, bro.
And listen to directions.
Yeah, it's still.
Yeah,
I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more than I could do, and I also feel like the thrill of that is just got to be. Like, I'm sure that you still get a thrill whenever you step onto a football field, but like the thrill of being in the cockpit of a plane has got to be pretty significant too.
Yeah, even like the flight simulators, like it's like having a VR headset on. Like if you have a VR headset, you pretty much feel like you're doing whatever you're doing on the VR in real life. And you can't tell me that you're doing anything different.
That's cool, man.
That's how I feel about with the simulators.
Trey, look, we obviously we're here in Baltimore, and so like the thought of this is powerful to us. You're going to be excited wherever it is. I'm sure you got family that's rooting for Dallas. I'm sure you got family that's rooting for New Orleans. Like I no doubt that you now have some friends that you made out that way that are rooting for Denver, but there would be a unique pressure spotlight, whatever you want to call it, if it were to be Baltimore. Do you feel like that would be something that, given everything you've been through, given what you've learned, the discipline that you've learned, that you would be prepared for, having to sort of be in your cousin's shadow if you were to end up being a Baltimore Raven?
No, honestly, I've thought about that question a lot, and it's, of course, like I say, it's amazing to have somebody like Ed in my corner. Like this is amazing, but I want to build my own legacy wherever I go, whether that's in Baltimore, whether that's in, whatever 32 teams can draft me.
Yeah.
I want to build my own name. I feel like there's 100% things that Ed could do on the field that I couldn't.
Sure.
And I also feel like there are things on the field that I can do that Ed can't, So I want to bring those strengths with me wherever I go and, transform whatever I can do in my playing career into, just using my strengths and showing out on the field that I can do that better than anybody else in the NFL.
Trey, I feel like one of the things that jumps out at me most is even just in the few years, and we're only talking about, 10 years or so since Ed retired, the way that the position has changed, and that like a safety now is someone that's got to play like every level of the defense, right? Like we've seen that here with Kyle Hamilton in Baltimore, where they got him lining up on the edge, they got him lining up he took snaps as a defensive tackle. How real has that been for you that in order to play the position now, you basically have to understand how to play like every defensive position that exists, because that's just the way that you're going to be used moving forward in this sport.
I think that's one of my biggest strengths is adaptability and being able to be versatile.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at, some of my film, I've played box safety, I've played back deep, I've played all types of zone concepts, I've played all types of man concepts. I was lined up at a defensive end position. I was lined up at linebacker. I was lined up playing my deep half, my deep third, curl flats, weak hooks, and it really doesn't matter. Like, I've played it all, and so I feel like, whatever system I go into, I can adapt to whatever they need, and so that's perfect for me. I think Kyle Hamilton and me actually play a lot alike. I'm just about 2-3 inches shorter, but I did love to watch his game when he was at Notre Dame, and of course now in the league, him doing what he does now.
Wow.
It's been really nice to see, and really fun to see him do things that he does, because I feel like I try to emulate his game a lot. That's been pretty cool.
He's just like the biggest weapon in all of football. And then, on top of everything else, to be named the Jim Thorpe Award winner this year, right? Like to have your game recognized so significantly despite being at an academy. Like what did that mean to you, that you kind of could prove to everybody you can be this player even playing at Air Force? Like, you don't have to be in the SEC for everyone to recognize that you're the best defensive back in the country.
Yeah, for me, that's a really good question. I had some trailblazers come before me at the academy. We got a bunch of people that have gone to the league, but really recently we had this dude named Jordan Jackson, and I feel like he did a really good job of showing me that it is possible to make it at this level, no matter where you come from, no matter if you're at the academy, no matter if you're in FCS, no matter if you're, big time football, I guess you can say. It can come from anywhere. And so that just kind of gave me a little bit more light to just go and prove what I feel like I can do, and to show people that, talent does come from anywhere. And so that's what I feel like I've been able to do for the people that are coming behind me at the academy. That gives people a reason to look back and say, we can do this too. There's the Jim Thorpe Trophy in the middle of the hallway as soon as you walk through the doors, and it's more than just representing what I did last season. It's showing everybody that, showing recruits, showing scouts, showing players, showing coaches, and like the academy, Naval, Army, Air Force, like we all have talent, and that it's finally being shown. So that's been huge. It's a blessing that I was able to kind of carry that torch.
Man, that's cool. That is so cool. Trey Taylor, man, I was a fan of your game before now. I might be the biggest Trey Taylor fan on the face of the planet after talking to you. Like, it is so cool. Hey, who is the picture in your header on Twitter? Tell me about that picture. Who are the young men in that picture?
Yeah, so it's my 3 little brothers. You can't really see the big bobblehead in the back because the big one is in front of it. But yeah, the one that's wearing my helmet is my oldest little brother. He's 10 now. The middle one that you can't see is 8, and then the smallest one is 6 now.
Wow.
It's pretty cool to that's my why. I wake up every morning, and like I said about the academy, I want to show people that it's possible from anywhere. Like, I really want to show my brothers that it's even more possible from our bloodline. They can do the same things plus more. They're gonna be such better athletes than I am. You look at that kid with that helmet on right now, he's different. He has about as much speed as I do right now. And then the middle child, he has instincts. Like, it's insane seeing that everything that he does on the football field, basketball court, track, everything that he does, he's good at. So I can't wait to see how they form and grow up and adapt to this world. But they're gonna be so special. So that's what I really want to do it for.
That's awesome, man. Dude, I couldn't root for you any harder. As long as it's not the Steelers. That's the way it's gonna be. It's at Trey_Taylor 007. Perfect, by the way. Well done on Twitter. And on Instagram, ovo.trey10 is how you can follow him there as well. Trey, congratulations on everything you've accomplished so far. Thank you for your commitment to service and to our country. That means a great deal, and we can't wait to see what's next for you. We pray that it's Baltimore, but wherever it is, we'll be pulling for you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Man, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Have a great day.
You too. That's Trey Taylor from Air Force. Damn. Yo. I'm speechless. Just how incredibly likable he is. What a great story it is. Oh, and by the way, again, top defensive back in the country a year ago. Lot to like there. Lot to like about Trey Taylor. And clearly the resource that he's had with his – we got to come up with a term, cousin cool. Like whatever you want to – cuz cool. Unkson. His Unkson. That's what we'll call it, his Unkson. Ed Reed. That's awesome, man. Thanks again to Trey Taylor for taking the time for us this morning. And would be very, very compelling if he ends up being a Baltimore Raven when all is said and done. All right. If you missed it, stay on the fan. Ross Grimsley, Luke Jackson got together yesterday. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. You can check it out. Talking about the start of the season for the Baltimore Orioles, sort of taking a temperature check 3 weeks in. Find that show right now. Again, Facebook.com/PressBoxSports or YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video. Let's just keep moving here on a Tuesday edition of the program. Every Tuesday, we find out what's going on in the world of high school sports. Joining us now from our friends at County Sports Zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Our friend Wes Brown is with us this morning. Wes, good morning. How are you, man?
Good. How are you?
Everything is good. Some big battles this week. Let's start on the girls' side of things with a huge win for St. Paul's.
Yeah, huge game there in the IAAM Lacrosse early this week. St. Paul's taking down Archbishop Spalding 8-7 in overtime. Kind of a big battle there between teams that are definitely gonna be fighting there in the top of the A conference. And St. Paul's was able to pull it out.
But it looks like maybe Maryvale Prep might be the team to beat.
Yeah, technically fourth in the standings right now, but on an 8-game win streak. Definitely, streaks like that are huge for a team, and definitely it's going to put them on track for the playoffs.
Meanwhile, on the other side, let's go to the boys' side of things. Another good week for Archbishop Spalding.
Yeah. So over MIA baseball, Spalding remained undefeated in league play, sweeping Curly last week. Then Loyola Blakefield went through and swept Calvert Hall as well, moving into second place in the A conference there. 7-3 in league play, 9-3 overall. So plenty of battles there, but it's going to be a big question of if/when Spalding is and ends up slipping up there.
All right. Allow me to show my naivety. How deep are we into baseball season at this point, Wes?
Pretty deep. It's kind of like lacrosse where you will always have teams that pop up and down. But yes, it's really interesting because it's obviously really hard to go undefeated. But it's a matter of right place, right time for some of these teams trying to battle against that.
And then sort of staying on the private school side of things, obviously a big night for an alum of St. Francis last night.
Yeah. So last night was the WNBA draft, and Angel Reese went number 7 overall to the Chicago Sky. She was actually the 5th forward center taken. It was a real heavy draft in the paint there. Caitlin Clark obviously went number 1 overall, but yeah, the Baltimore product was actually passed over by the Washington
Mystics. Yeah.
So yeah, she ends up in Chicago. So yeah, she
although
should be a
they took Aaliyah Edwards, right? It's kind of hard to knock. Yeah. It's kind of hard to knock. Like, Aaliyah Edwards is a hell of a player. I get it. The argument would be maybe you could have gotten a little bit more local interest had they taken Angel Reese, but Aaliyah Edwards is a hell of a player too, so it's kind of hard to knock that. All right, let's go to Athlete of the Week. Who is Athlete of the Week this week?
Yeah, so Addison Tyler, Boonesboro softball, junior pitcher outfield there, threw a perfect game on Friday in a 22-0 win over North Hagerstown. And then her teammate Sydney Hartle actually got her 100th career hit in that game as well. So huge win for Boonesboro there. And yeah, the no hitters and perfect games just keep coming. It seems like we have a few of those every week.
I believe I got to double check on this, and I might have to have you do the research. My buddy Pete Medhurst, of course, play-by-play man extraordinaire at Navy. I believe his daughter, who pitches in Anne Arundel County, and I can't remember which school it is off the top of my head, told me that she also threw her first no-hitter last week. So happy for my pal Pete Medhurst, and I know it was a big moment for him. All right, let's run through everything. What does everybody need to know about County Sports Zone? What are they going to find there? Social, the whole deal. What's going on, Wes?
Yeah, so over on CSE, we have all the scores and schedules for high school sports in the state of Maryland, private school, public school, got all that, going down. We've also got our CSE Pick'em, currently running baseball and girls lacrosse here for the spring season. So you can get involved, post on the zone if you're out at any high school games. You're able to post, pictures, summaries, anything at all. All content high school sports related. It is over on County Sports Zone, and you can catch us on Twitter and Instagram at CSC Scores. Then I'm at W_Brown21.
And as I mentioned, all of that proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com, countysports.zone. Wes Brown, always appreciate you, man. Let's talk again next Tuesday, all right?
Yep, see you then.
That's Wes Brown with us for CSC Radio here on GCR. All right, when we come back in, we're going to chat with Patrick. Right? He's at the top of the hour? Yeah. We're going to chat with Patrick Stevens about the week that was in college lacrosse, these Ian Martinez rumors. Could he end up back at Maryland? We'll discuss all of that with Patrick Stevens. Also on the other side, a wide receiver that might be unhappy and looking for a trade, and it's not Brandon Ayuk. We'll talk about that next on Glenn Clark Radio.
Hey, it's Jeremy Kahn. This postseason, bet in person at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks with locations in Canton and in Towson, and enjoy the best in-class sports wagering experience at their state-of-the-art facilities, bringing an unmatched sports betting thrill.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Discover one of Baltimore's hidden gems at Guilford Hall Brewery. Enjoy dinner in our spacious brew pub, sip a signature cocktail in our outdoor, dog-friendly beer garden, or take a tour of our brewery. Discover your new favorite local craft beer. From crisp lagers to hoppy ales, there's something for everyone to enjoy. Pair your brew with delicious appetizers and entrees. There are options for the whole family, but you have to try our fan-favorite giant pretzel. Guilford Hall Brewery, where every sip is a celebration. Visit us online at guilfordhall.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Oh, honey, we better stop for gas soon. Let's pull into that Royal Farms.
Ugh, gas is so expensive.
Nope, it'll be cheaper than you think.
Why's that?
I signed up for Rofo Pay on the Royal Farms app. Now we save 15 cents per gallon at all Royal Farms.
Wow, that'll save us a ton of money. I love you more every day.
Well then, don't get a speeding ticket this trip, okay?
Sign up for Rofo Rewards and upgrade to Rofo Pay and save 15 cents a gallon on gas for a limited time. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Craving that classic New York deli experience? Look no further than the new Atman's Deli in Baltimore's Harbor Point. Corned beef piled high, hand-rolled bagels, and something different. A bar! Atman's has food and drink specials every day. Now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Dine in, grab takeout, or hang out at the bar for the next O's game. Atman's Deli, an authentic taste of Baltimore tradition since 1915. Find us at Harbor Point or visit atmansdeli.com.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? A.J. Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis, ajmichaels.com.
Hungry? With 7 locations throughout Maryland, Glory Days Grill is always right around the corner. They have wings, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and drinks to satisfy everyone, as well as tons of televisions and sound delivered right to your phone. Glory Days is the best place to watch football or whatever your favorite sport is. While you're there, be sure to check out Goose Flight's Lager, named in honor of legendary Raven Tony Goose Siragusa. $2 of every can is donated to the Goose Flights Foundation. Glory Days Grill. Great food, good sports.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Tuesday edition of the program. So we didn't really talk about it much yesterday because it didn't deserve the conversation that it was getting. There were these weird Brandon Ayuk rumble. Look, man.
Done deal. You unfollowed the team, right?
No, some of that, by the way, some of it is relevant. What's relevant with Brandon Ayuk is we know he wants a contract. Like, we know that. Understandably so. Does it matter that he unfollowed the team? No. But we know Brandon Ayuk is unhappy with his situation. That part is fact. Indisputable. Brandon Ayuk wants a long-term contract. That makes sense. The 49ers, who just paid Deebo Samuel, they've got decisions to make. And they didn't get a 5th year on Brock Purdy. So, like, that's going to come up a little bit quicker for them, where we've talked about the advantage that they have. But now, all of a sudden, he's in his 3rd year, and after this year, he could ask for a contract. And given the fact that he didn't get a, first-round pay, he's making so little that they might be inclined to push a little bit more for a contract. So the 49ers have decisions to make. And it might be that in their minds, they're not going to be able to pay Brandon Ayuk, but they'd like to ride this thing out for one more year and then tag him and trade him after the year. Maybe. Or maybe they really do want to get a deal done. They're just trying to figure out how to make it all work. I don't know. I'm not the 49ers. But the nonsense from the weekend with Brandon Ayuk was exactly that. Nonsense. This thing where, because I've said it a million times, I'm not mad at the doofus that made something up on Twitter. I don't think he offers anything to society. Like that, there's no value, but that's on you, not on him or her. I don't know if it's a him or her. Whoever this person was, that clearly you could, one look at a bio and you could see was not a reporter, does not cover a team for someone, there's no world in which this would be someone with sources. There was nothing there. But this is what we do. This is who we are as a society. This is the America that Elon Musk wants, where nothing matters and where we don't. The person that has connections and is a sourced reporter means exactly much as Joe Jobenstein, who sat down and made a Twitter account yesterday and is trying to get attention and get followers. And I'm not mad at Joe. It's you. It's you. You have to be smart enough to recognize, wow, there's no reason why this person would know anything. They're not anyone. Why would I share this or treat it as though it's a real story? Which, by the way, also doesn't mean that Brandon Ayuk might not at some point decide that he wants to be traded. My gut tells me, typically the way these things work is someone says, I'm going to hold out. The team says, okay. The 49ers want to win a Super Bowl this year. It ain't going to bother him if he's not there for training camp or the preseason. And so few of these guys ever hold out of games because they want those game checks, because that's how you get paid in the NFL, that the most likely scenario is he doesn't show up for camp, he doesn't show up till like the 3rd week of preseason games, and he's ready to go. And they're cool, and he wants the game checks, and he wants to have a monster season so that he'll get paid next offseason. But maybe. if the 49ers were worse, I genuinely believe that he wanted out. They're not. They're very good and could win a Super Bowl next year. So I could see him saying, yeah, I would like to get paid by them, but if they're not, maybe I go try to win a Super Bowl next year. Add to the list, as Patrick will join us here in 1 second, Cortland Sutton not reporting for team activities, apparently, in Denver this week. Now, I don't even know. This is voluntary workouts, so this doesn't even really matter. I don't know enough about Cortland Sutton to know, did he show up to these last year, for example? But as Tom Pelissero reports it today from the NFL Network, Broncos wide receiver Cortland Sutton did not report Monday for voluntary workouts as he seeks a new contract, per source. So Tom Pelissero suggests that him not being there for the voluntary portion, you saw Ravens players showing back up to work this week, including Lamar Jackson, looking a little slimmer than we had seen him. Interesting, Tom Pelissero suggests that those two things are related. So maybe another wide receiver that's unhappy in those circumstances, and it will be interesting to monitor that in the coming weeks. All right. Joining us now here on GCR, as he does every Tuesday, he is our friend and our college sports guru, a man you follow on Twitter at Discourse, D1S Course. You read his stuff in the Washington Post, USA Lacrosse Magazine. He's our friend, Mr. Patrick Stevens, and he's back with us on the program. Patrick, good morning, sir. How are you?
Yeah.
You there? Can you hear us okay, Patrick?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, gotcha.
Well,
yeah,
you good?
Everything is good, man. I hear there's a big game coming this Saturday.
Yeah, there might be one that might draw a few eyeballs on University Parkway and Charles Street there. So Johns Hopkins and Maryland for the Big Ten regular season title. Both teams have already locked up buys into the conference semifinals, so they can't play in the semifinals themselves. One's going to be the 1 seed, one will be the 2 seed. So a Maryland team that has kind of figured things out a little bit over the last few weeks. Certainly at the defensive end, giving up 6 to Rutgers, giving up 7 to Ohio State, and obviously playing pretty well the last half or so against Penn State. And Hopkins has, after taking some early close losses, has figured out how to win a few tight games, having won in overtime thanks to Matt Collison game winners against Penn State and Ohio State the last 2 weeks.
And their defense getting the job done in overtime too.
The thing is, I think in that league this year, I don't know that there are that many great offenses, and so that's probably part of the variables there. Like Ohio State's defense is really good, and its offense struggles. Rutgers probably a little bit better on offense. They certainly have, I think, as good a midfielder as anybody has in Shane Knobloch. And they've got Ross Scott, but they are also probably better at the defensive end than on offense. And I think this Maryland team is better on defense than it is on offense as well. So, but Johns Hopkins, I think Chase Erlin was everybody's pick as one of the biggest gets on the transfer market last year, and it certainly worked out that way. And I think the guys in front of him played really well too. So this is a Hopkins team. I think last year we talked about how it was a team that was greater than the sum of its parts. And I think the sum of this team's parts is even greater than last year's team. And that bunch was able to make the quarterfinals before falling to the eventual national champions in Notre Dame. So, I think Hopkins, even though it isn't necessarily a dominant team, it has a lot of different sorts of answers. And so I think it'll be curious to see, can Maryland get itself to, 11, 12, 13 goals against this defense? And can they, bottle up a Hopkins offense that at its best is certainly capable of making life difficult for just about anybody.
So I realize it doesn't matter this week, and this game does, of course, stand, even if these teams weren't playing for a Big Ten title, this game stands alone. But I asked this question, and I'm sure you'll understand the thought process, as we've gotten back to the point where, as we expected before the season, it's those two teams and the ACC teams that are at the top again. Are these two teams, are either of them capable of competing with the best ACC teams come Memorial Day weekend?
Well, I think that, we have some evidence that Hopkins can do that, right? Like Hopkins has beaten Virginia. It has played a 1-goal game against Syracuse. Maryland has lost pretty convincingly to Virginia in a game that it turned out to be a 4-goal game, but Virginia had firm control of it and won up at the Dome against Syracuse. I don't know that either of these teams can win 2 games against those types of teams. I think one maybe, but I think all those teams are probably a little bit deeper and probably a little bit better able to withstand a quick turnaround on Memorial Day weekend. I think, in general, not necessarily in a single game, but if we played it out 1,000 times, next month's tournament, that I would probably lean towards Hopkins making a deeper run than Maryland on average. That doesn't mean that Maryland can't go into Homewood and win like a 10-8 or 10-9 or 11-9 type of game. But I think if you put me on the spot between those two teams, because I think Hopkins can generate offense a little more handily than Maryland can. And as a result, I think that they're probably the team. If you think anybody's going to be able to take out 2 of Duke, Notre Dame, and Virginia, that's probably the team that would be able to do it.
Patrick, you have seen many more of them than the rest of us have. How do you explain the Duke-Virginia thing? Like, it just does not make sense to me whatsoever.
It's funny. And the thing is, at this point, nobody wants to talk about it, right? Like, the Duke people don't want to talk about it, insist that, they don't think about it or talk about it. And I believe it. I totally believe that they don't talk about it. And in fact, I got myself a little frustrated when I was asking John Danowski post-game about this on Sunday when Duke won 18-12, its 19th consecutive victory in the regular season against Virginia.
That's so insane.
The last time Virginia won a regular season game against Duke was 20 years ago tomorrow.
What the world? I mean, we're talking about a preeminent program in the sport.
Correct. Virginia has won 4 national championships since the last time it beat Duke in the regular season, and it's played nearly every year since then. They didn't play in the pandemic season, and in 2006, Duke had canceled the rest of its season by that point. So Virginia had that perfect season and didn't play Duke. So, it's remarkable. And the Virginia people are like, we're not looking. We didn't look at anything other than the 2 games that we played last year against them because it's similar personnel. We saw what they were trying to do, all this sort of stuff, which again makes all the sense in the world. I do think that Duke hasn't had a down stretch in that period, and Virginia from about 13 to 17 or 18 or so wasn't at the same level that we think of as Virginia being. But every time I go into that game wondering, well, is this going to be the year that this ends? And no, it isn't. Now, Virginia's won a couple other games in non-regular season setting. They won a ACC tournament game in College Park. That's how long ago one of these victories was in 2010. And they also won the 2019 semifinal to get their first victory tournament victory over Lars Tiffany, or a title under Lars Tiffany. But it is a remarkable thing, and the thing is, we might see these 2 teams play again here in a couple weeks down in Charlotte in the reconstituted ACC tournament.
What a bizarre! It's just so bizarre, man. Patrick Stevens is with us here on GCR. Patrick, Hopkins, Maryland, not the only local. I don't want to compare Loyola Navy from a rivalry standpoint to Hopkins, Maryland, because it's not that, obviously. But Friday night, all of a sudden you look up and everybody in the Patriot League's 4-2, and that's a really big game.
Yeah, the winner for sure ends up in the conference tournament. Basically, right now, it's everybody at 4-2, 6 teams total, and 6 teams get into the conference tournament. So a Bucknell loss or a victory by any of those teams gets any of those teams in, basically. So there's still a possibility we might see like a tie at 4-4, but in all likelihood it's these teams. So, any of those teams theoretically could end up hosting the conference tournament still at this point, which I'm sure that as I know I've watched Loyola a few times, I've watched Navy a few times, and there have been times where I thought there's no way these guys are going to host a conference tournament, and it's very possible at this point with 2 good weeks at this stage. So a big game for both teams. I think the winner certainly puts themselves in the spot to at least finish in the top 4, and if you're 3rd or 4th, you might be stuck playing that Tuesday game, but at least you get to play it at home. So the thing about the Patriot League is obviously it's now kind of cannibalized itself, and there's really not a serious at-large contender for the NCAA tournament in the whole lot. So that basically means, 6 dogs, 1 bone, right, is the old cliche. So that conference tournament might be the best of the bunch here in a couple weeks, if only because you've got these teams that are all fairly even at this point.
Yeah, it's a great point. That's a great point. They all have so much to play for. All right, let me get away from lacrosse for a second. And I don't know if it's going to end up playing out, but as we get into the transfer portal era, the potential for this story is just so wild to me. The idea of Ian Martinez perhaps ending up back at Maryland, and by I think anybody who watched Maryland a year ago would say, wow, they really missed Ian Martinez because they could have used anyone that can make a shot, and Ian Martinez could make a shot. This still seems crazy to me that it could play out this way, but is this kind of the new normal moving forward, that it might just be that everybody a year removed looks at each other and says, hey, we would have been better off riding this thing out a little bit longer?
This wouldn't be the first time that that's happened. You kind of look around and it's funny. I do the mid-major spotlight every week in my Washington Post notebook.
Yeah.
And one of the teams that I talked to was North Dakota, because they were in first place in the Summit League at the time. And one of the big things for them is they had a guy who had come in. They scouted him well. I believe his name was Tyree Iheanacho. And so he has a great freshman year, and he transfers to James Madison, which is not exactly the typical
not a huge
transfer path you would expect, right? And I think he was from Minnesota, so he was from North Dakota's neck of the woods, was not from James Madison's neck of the woods, and played there a couple years, and then transferred back to North Dakota and didn't get the 2-time transfer waiver until the middle of December. But when he got cleared, it changed their team and made them a lot better. And so, we've seen this in a number of different places. There was one guy a few years back, I think, that did Miami, DePaul, Miami, or maybe it was the other way around. And so we've seen that happen. It's certainly possible. I mean, there's familiarity, right?
Yep.
And so if you're, there's nothing in pro sports free agency that says you can't go and sign with one team and then another and go back to the other team after your 1-year deal expires or something like that. So why not in college sports?
Well, and again, I think we come back to there's no debating that Maryland could use Ian Martinez, right?
Oh, they absolutely could. Although in fairness, the most hilarious possible outcome of this is that they end up getting 4 shooters, and there's not enough playing time for them all, basically.
Right.
So sort of a massive, but an understandable overcorrection to the situation.
Yeah, understandable is a great word there, right? It was such a disaster.
And if we're talking about trends in this era, let's talk about Mount St. Mary's looking for a new coach. Right?
Yeah.
Because Dan Engelstad, who I thought did a really good job under the circumstances at Mount St. Mary's, he won a title and went to the NCAA tournament in the pandemic year, his 3rd year up there. They went 17-23 in the Metro Atlantic his first 2 years. And considering the jump from the NEC to the MAC, that was, I thought, pretty commendable. And they get to the end of the season, and in addition to a couple 4th-year grad students that went into the portal, and understandably so, that was their bonus year. He had 2 of the 3 main freshmen that he had that looked like a really good core.
Yep.
They go into the portal, and so I totally get it. From a head coach's perspective at that level, he went basically to be an assistant at Syracuse. And, you can make as much, if not more money, and not be the one that has your team rated by the portal. You're the one rating the other teams, or part of a staff that's rating other teams. And you can kind of wait for things to sort of, sort themselves out here over the next few years. Because, for as much as everybody tries to say, well, is this the new normal? Well, the change isn't done yet. And as much change as there's been in the last 5 years, there's probably going to be every bit as much here over the next 4 or 5 years. And so, I don't know if now's the right time to be, especially if you're fairly young, to be a head coach in a mid-major league. It's just kind of maybe the smart play is to just go be an assistant at a higher level and kind of let things sort of sort themselves out for a few years until you get a better sense of what the landscape is really going to look like.
But do we know enough yet to know if that is the best path to get a major head coaching job, though? Right? Like,
no, I don't think we know anything.
Okay.
Like that's the issue right now is that the whole the whole landscape is so much different than it was 5 years ago. Like all these rules that you might have had before, all these all this conventional wisdom has been tossed out the window.
Yeah.
And so if you don't know what the best thing for the long term is, at that point it's probably best to do what's best in the short term.
Just take the job, right? No, I get that.
And maybe there's not as much of a high end reward immediately, but if you have assistant coach in the ACC or assistant coach in the Big Ten or the SEC or wherever, that's going to probably age pretty well, all things considered. And if you go, even in this era, if you go and you work at a mid-major school for 5 years and you wind up going something like 60 and 90 and you get fired, you still went 60 and 90 and got fired over a 5-year stint. Now, you probably learned a lot. You're probably a better coach for it. But, you also have athletic directors that will be saying, well, what went wrong when you were a head coach previously? Whereas you don't necessarily have that problem if you're just sort of hanging out as an assistant, at least in the short term anyway.
Well, and if you're reading the tea leaves and saying it's going to be very difficult for me to rebuild an entire roster in an offseason and not have a miserable, miserable is unfair.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to make it seem like they wouldn't have won any game, but you know what I mean? Like if you just look at the circumstances and say it's probably going to look bad, to your point, that win total is going to look very bad. This is the perfect time for me to make this move.
Yeah, and I think, and I haven't spoken directly with Dan over the last week, but I could tell you, like, you go I thought they did well to go 13 and 19 and 13 and 20 the last couple of years under the circumstances. But you look at that, and if you stack a third and a fourth of those, you got a coach that's got like 4 straight years where he's lost close to 20 games. And the challenge of rebuilding a roster on the fly, like at that level, you got to do really good evaluation. And obviously Mount St. Mary's did an awesome job of evaluating a guy like a Deshane Montgomery.
Right.
And I remember watching him on the opening night down at Maryland, and I thought to myself, this guy isn't going to be here very long. And sure enough, he wasn't.
Right.
You just know that now. And I would have to think that it grows frustrating for any coach to be in a spot where, you don't have any sort of certainty. I mean, I keep coming back to this idea, you're going to have to do multi-year contracts at the rate we're going, and whether that's collectively bargained or whatever, because at the end of the day, like, there's a reason why pro sports don't have, like, everybody's a free agent
every year. Yeah.
Like, the players get some sort of security, and, the teams, the schools, however you want to phrase it at this point, but the teams get, some measure of certainty as to what their roster is going to look like. It's a lot. If you're a basketball coach, it's a lot easier to have to fill 4 scholarships each year rather than 10.
That's
especially when you don't know that you're going to need to fill those 10 until the middle of March.
It has felt in conversations too, Patrick, like there is not the coaches agree, like that they know that once we got here, they understand. I just think it's a question of what's the mechanism that gets us to contracts, right? And I think a lot of us wondered if it was the Dartmouth thing, like would that be, what would lead to this moment, but the NCAA is still fighting it. It just feels like, and I probably don't talk to as many coaches as you do, but the number of coaches I've talked to, and particularly in football, the sense that I've had is, can we please speed up, stop fighting this, and just speed up to get to the part of whatever this is going to look like for the next 50 years?
That isn't that just essentially exactly what you wish you could say to the NCAA?
1,000%.
Over the last, can you just speed up and accept how this is going to be?
What are you doing?
Can we just skip over all this stuff, please?
And it's one thing if what they were fighting for was a popular opinion, right? Like that it was held by a number. Like you're fighting something that is you're never going to win. Like you're never in a million years going to win this. You're only making life more difficult for everybody in the process.
And yes, you might end up with disgruntled players that maybe they sign a multi-year deal and they blow up and they're unhappy. Well, you know what? You still got we don't sit there. I mean, granted, there's some guys that like in the NBA that'll demand trades and whatnot, like every other year, basically. But in general, like if you're a middle infielder and you sign a 3-year, $9 million deal, and for whatever reason you go out and hit 30 home runs the next year, well, you're still going to only make $3 million the next year. And people are going to say, no, you signed a contract. That's how it works. So, I don't see that as being something that if you had a guy coming out of college sign a whatever kind of deal at a mid-major school and he has an awesome freshman year, it's like, well, no, you agreed to this. Like we all, and I think part of the key to this is to make it as transparent as possible. I hate using that word because I think it's overused, but I think that's what you need to do is essentially have a transactions page going on. If we have the portal, we can have a transactions page, right? Where everybody knows what everybody's getting.
It makes too much sense for me, so we know it's not going to happen for some time because it's just too logical. I know we got to play the game, let you go, but do you have a 30-second thought about Mark Pope?
I think when you look back at the last couple times, the last few times the Kentucky job opened, like Patino leaves and they go for a kind of sedate guy in Tubby Smith, and then they go for personality that doesn't work in Billy Gillespie and personality that does work in John Calipari. It's sort of like in baseball where you go from a player's manager to the drill sergeant type, right? And back and forth, So I think that for Kentucky, I think they will like, at least in the short term, having somebody that there's not really a whole lot of drama and all this other stuff going on. I think we'll see what happens by year 3 and year 4 if they're not in the Final Four or something. But I think in the short term, I think people are going to be reasonably patient, certainly by Kentucky standards anyway, bringing back somebody that played on one of their best teams.
All right, let's play our game. We begin with our manager for this week, someone who I think a lot of Orioles fans still have some frosty feelings towards, going back quite a ways. 4 teams for a World Series champion. Chuck Tanner is the first name on the list.
Chuck Tanner was in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And he was in Oakland.
Most certainly, for 1 year, actually.
And he was with the White Sox.
At the start, yep.
And Atlanta.
That's where he finished. Very well done. All right. I had a request for one. We're not going to do it because there's too many teams. I'll save that. Instead, I'll go with somebody who is still active. 2-time.
Well, how many teams? What if we just do one more?
All right, that's it. But this was okay. He was on the show yesterday, and I had someone that reached out and said, "I don't think you've ever done this with Patrick. It's because he was never an All-Star." This is about as hellish as I could possibly imagine. But
let's do one. Let's do one guy.
We'll have fun with it. The name, and I got to pull up the number of teams. The name is LaTroy Hawkins. That was right. So I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 teams for LaTroy Hawkins. You really want to do this?
Let's try this.
All right.
Let's have some fun here.
Right.
And I'm actually surprised he didn't end up on an All-Star
I'm
team
stunned.
during his release.
It stunned me that he was never an All-Star.
Well, he was definitely a Minnesota Twin.
That is the overwhelming bulk. That is 9 years in Minnesota at the start.
He was a Cub, correct?
For a couple of years, yes.
He was a Met, correct?
He was a Met for 1 year in 2013.
He was a Blue Jay, if I recall correctly.
He was a Blue Jay at the very end in 2015.
Was he a Rocky?
He was a Rocky for 3 years, in fact.
Okay.
I guess that was 2 different stints with the Rockies.
Okay. Let's see here. For LaTroy Hawkins.
There are still 3 multi-year stops, by the way.
3 multi-year stops. For LaTroy Hawkins, huh? Was LaTroy Hawkins ever a Ranger?
Never a Ranger, unbelievably.
Never a Ranger.
Never a Ranger.
Okay. All right. Do I remember him in Miami for a minute?
No, not in Miami
I
either.
do not.
Yeah.
Okay. Did he end up with the Yankees at some point?
He did end up with the Yankees, yes. In 2008, He spent a little bit of time with the
Okay.
Yankees.
He did spend time with the Yankees. Okay. I might as well say this because I feel like he might have passed through in those late 2000s. Was he an Oriole for a minute?
He did indeed spend the 2006 season with the Baltimore Orioles.
Okay, so that at least
I remember
saves me a little face there.
My first.
Was he a
yeah? Go ahead.
Was he a
go
Brewer?
Ahead. He was for 2 years.
Okay.
By the way, you've got 8. This is a win at this point.
This is very much a win. I'm happy to claim it at this stage.
Yeah.
Well, I would be remiss to go through this entire process and not mention the Dodgers. So.
Yeah, I knew you were going to go not the Dodgers.
Okay, so maybe Kansas City, was that one that I missed out on?
No, not Kansas City either.
Who am I missing?
Houston for 2 years.
Okay.
The Cubs for 2 years.
I said the Cubs.
Oh, you said that? Oh, yeah, sorry. Got that. My bad. Sorry. Houston for 2 years. San Francisco for a year.
Okay.
And the Angels for a year is the other one that's missing. There you go. Those are the rest. But 8 for 11 on Troy Hawkins. Pretty damn good, my friend. That ain't bad at all. What's the schedule look like for you this week, sir?
The games we talked about, Loyola Navy on Friday, and then Hopkins Maryland on Saturday. I might duck up to Towson to see them. They play Monmouth at noon on Saturday, and Towson has already clinched the CAA's hosting duties for their conference tournament. So the Tigers rolling along quite nicely. That certainly looks like a Towson or Delaware league when all is said and done up there.
Excellent. At Discourse, D1 S-Course is how you follow. And Patrick Stevens, always appreciate you, sir. Thanks for spending the time with us this week. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Thanks so much for having me.
That's Patrick Stevens. He joins us every Tuesday here on GCR. Yeah, Dave, psychopath, was like, dude, you done after we had LaTroy on yesterday? He's like, you done LaTroy with Patrick, right? I'm like, well, no, our rule is that you have to have made an all-star game. And then I looked, and I was like, holy crap, it's 11. And I joked about that with LaTroy. I was like, when we say your former team, I realized we'd be talking about half the league.
Third of the, yeah.
Like, it's nuts.
I wonder how much he uses himself in
the grid?
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt. He's a cheat code. 100%. I actually wish that we would have done that with LaTroy to see if there was maybe one that he forgot about at some point.
Well, next time when they play the Twins again.
Like, that he was just like, oh, yeah, I was with them for a minute. I mean, I doubt it.
I was in Anaheim?
Right. I don't remember that at all. What was I doing there? I mean, I get that sometimes when people ask, like, now, I think I remember everyone that I was ever employed by, I think. It's possible that I could forget about something. It's possible.
As it turns out, I have the list.
Oh, yeah? You got the whole list? You pulled up my... I don't think I put everything on the resume. I don't think I put my jobs on... I don't think I put the Hallmark store that I worked at when I was 15. I don't think I include that one on the list.
You were going to miss that one, yep.
They because I couldn't drive yet. They let me... It was down the street from Perry Hall High School. They allowed me to... I could walk to the Hallmark store after school, and they would, like, literally collect up their trash. My job was to show up. They were on the second floor of the shopping center, and basically they would just have, like, a back area where they would have, like, all of the trash, because I think I only worked 2 days. It's like Monday and Thursday or something like that, like all of the trash that had been collected for, like, the days leading up, and I just took, like, bags and chucked them down the stairs. Like, chucked them. You know, and it was, like, it would take, like, an hour for me to get all of the trash to the dumpster. Like, the first hour of my job was just cleaning up trash. Well, that's all that I was doing. But I was 15, and I wanted a little walking around money. And so it worked out for me at that point. I don't even know if 15-year-olds are allowed to work anymore. Do you have to be 16 in order to work now, or can you?
I guess you're supposed to be 16.
I don't know.
I know I didn't get, like, my first technical job until I was 16.
Well, and minimum wage when I was that age was like $5 an hour. I mean, it was... in fact, it might be that I started when it was still
work. Yeah.
It was still $4.25, if I remember correctly. Seeing that number now, I'm like, I get very jealous of what minimum wage is at this point. All right, thanks to Patrick for taking the time for us. Today's show also brought to you by Sports and Social, the best place to watch all of the big events. Starting to think about where you're going to be watching the playoffs the next couple of weeks. There's nowhere better than with that giant media wall, all the great food and drink specials. You can reserve a table by going to their website. You can reserve the reclining chairs by just popping into the FanDuel Sportsbook there at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. The best place to be for all of the big events is Sports and Social inside Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. I want to tell you guys about Baseball Dad. I want to tell you about that story because it was a pretty emotional night for me last night. So we're going to talk about that a little bit when we come back in. It is Glenn Clark Radio.
Craving that classic New York deli experience? Look no further than the new Atman's Deli in Baltimore's Harbor Point. Corned beef piled high, hand-rolled bagels, and something different. A bar! Atman's has food and drink specials every day. Now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Dine in, grab takeout, or hang out at the bar for the next O's game. Atman's Deli, an authentic taste of Baltimore tradition since 1915. Find us at Harbor Point or visit atmansdeli.com.
What company makes your home more energy efficient, purifies your air, kills all viruses, and qualifies you for $6,000 in rebates? A.J. Michaels Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis at ajmichaels.com.
Whether you're celebrating a special milestone, entertaining clients, or simply enjoying a night out, count on Ruth's Chris to deliver you the finest steaks, the best service, and a level of hospitality that has made Ruth's Chris one of the most revered names in steaks since 1965. Make your reservation now at ruthschris.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Discover one of Baltimore's hidden gems at Guilford Hall Brewery. Enjoy dinner in our spacious brew pub, sip a signature cocktail in our outdoor dog-friendly beer garden, or take a tour of our brewery. Discover your new favorite local craft beer. From crisp lagers to hoppy ales, there's something for everyone to enjoy. Pair your brew with delicious appetizers and entrees. There are options for the whole family, but you have to try our fan-favorite giant pretzel. Guilford Hall Brewery, where every sip is a celebration. Visit us online at guilfordhall.com.
The latest edition of Pressbox is available now, and on the cover we look at the promise of spring for the Baltimore Orioles as Todd Karpovich and others shine the light on the team's hopes to take the next step towards championship contention and what reinforcements could still be coming. Plus, Pressbox personalities offer suggestions to David Rubenstein about stewarding the franchise. Also inside, Bo Smolka on how the Ravens defense could evolve with new coordinator Zach Orr. And we meet lacrosse players from the men's and women's programs across the state. Pressbox is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores. And you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the O's, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Jeremy Kahn here. The ultimate sports betting experience in Maryland is at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook. Join me at either location in Canton or in Towson and place your bets in person and be a part of the action. It's the best in-class sports wagering experience, complete with the ultimate TV package, ensuring you can catch every game all day, every day. Their state-of-the-art facilities bring Las Vegas energy right here to Maryland just in time for postseason football. So visit the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook in Canton and Towson and elevate your game day experience and hang out with me to bet, watch, and win at the Turtle.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
Tomorrow is the day that the new print issue of Pressbox will hit newsstands, so you'll be able to get to your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of those hundreds of locations around town where you find Pressbox. Great cover story all about Grayson Rodriguez, as Luke Jackson really dove in, folks that know Grayson the best, and analysts like Hall of Famer John Smoltz talking about the path to Grayson perhaps being the next homegrown ace for the Baltimore Orioles. So looking forward to that. A lot of reflections on Lefty Drizel's passing in this print issue of Pressbox and some of the legendary ACC coaches that got to go up against Lefty Driesell chimed in for that, including Roy Williams and Bobby Cremens, among others. So encourage you to get out tomorrow to your neighborhood Royal Farms, into those hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box, to pick up the new print issue of Press Box. All right, so indulge me here for a second. It was a very emotional night in the Glenn Clark household last night. So I think I told you guys that my sons came to us in like January or so and said, we don't think we want to play lacrosse anymore. And that was a bummer, right? Like, it was a bummer. John Colson apparently that really broke John Colson's heart. I love lacrosse, right? Like, and I love that it's something that's unique for us here, and so it means something to me in that way. So yeah, I was a little bummed that my kids didn't want to play lacrosse anymore, but you know, I don't want to be that dad that tries to force something upon them. So I said, hey, all's good, but you're gonna do something, right? Like, what we're not gonna do is play video games. Like, that's not the way that it's gonna be. We're going to do something, because they can use
good careers out of that.
I understand that, but until they get to a point in which that's relevant, we're not going to start thinking about that.
Start them young.
The teamwork aspect is important to me. I want them to be on a team. The structure is really important to me. I think it's the best thing. Kids crave structure. My kids for sure are at their best when they know where they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to be doing, when they're supposed to be doing it. It is the absolute best thing for them. A lack of structure. It's not like I'm worried about them like running off and vandalizing things or anything along those lines, but structure is just, to me, the best thing for kids. So because of that, like, sports is an easy one, but like my younger son takes drum lessons too, right? Like, anything that provides some structure to me is a good thing. So I said, if we're not going to play lacrosse, we're going to do something else. And I said, if you'd like to try baseball, we could give baseball a try. And remember, I had shared with you guys last summer how much my kids had fallen in love with the Orioles, and that was maybe one of the most special things to me about last season, was watching my kids walk around the house like, I'm Adley Rutschman. I'm Gunnar. It was just really cool to see that. I'm Cedric Mullins. And we had that really kind of romantic moment when we were at the beach last year, and they asked me to get a wiffle ball bat and a wiffle ball, and then we led to these like Sandlot-esque wiffle ball games on the beach where like hundreds of kids were coming over, and it was just these like never-ending wiffle ball games that were going on at the beach. It was really cool. So I suggested we try baseball, and the boys were like, yeah, we want to do that. But you just never know. You never know how your kids are going to take to something. You never know. One of the reasons why I was kind of okay with them moving on from lacrosse is my younger son kind of was, but my older son was not taking to lacrosse. He just wasn't. He was running around kind of aimlessly. He liked being around his friends. That part he enjoyed, but it just wasn't the sport. It wasn't working with him. We tried to play catch in the backyard. He didn't feel it. Like, we tried to do ground ball practice in the backyard, and I just never sensed that he was into it. He's not a great soccer player. He's actually a good defender in soccer. Like, he's come around a little bit where, like, he's not going to be he's all over the place. He's not going to be a striker, but he can defend in soccer. Like, I've come around a little bit. I was convinced that he wasn't really taking to soccer either, but watching him more last season, he's figured that part of the game out a little bit. But you just don't know how your kid's going to take to something. And then as a parent, you worry that, like, especially, I know it's crazy to say, but at 9 years old, like, the kids might already be ahead of him. Like, some of these kids they're playing t-ball at 6, at 5. So is he going to be playing catch-up too much, and is that going to impact his ability to enjoy himself, to want to do it, to get anything out of it? Is just his frustration that he's so far behind everyone else. I will tell you, for example, I'm not a great swimmer. Like, I can swim functionally, but when I was a kid, it was never a priority for, like, my parents And I would be hanging around with my friends. They'd all be these great swimmers, and I was like, doggy paddle. And, like, once you're behind, you end up finding yourself just not wanting to do it as a kid because everybody else is so far ahead of you. I never really – again, I can functionally swim. Like, I don't want to make anybody think that I'm – but I'm not good. I'm not a strong swimmer. My kids are definitely better swimmers than I am. Like, they could swim for hours, man. If they – if something happened and they fell off a boat well offshore, they could probably get back to shore.
They have to drag you.
Yeah, 100%. But I worried about that. So as much as I could, given my busy schedule, I had been spending time, not just playing catch, but, hitting grounders to the boys, throwing them batting practice. I mean, doing as much as I possibly can to try to help prepare them so that they are only so far behind as they start baseball. And at first, I didn't know, but particularly my older son, I really did start to sense that, like, he was enjoying it. And then I started to sense that he had a pretty smooth swing. Like, I was impressed. I was like, there's not really a hitch in his swing. Like, he's really got a natural swing. Like, okay, that's fun. When we first talked about baseball, I remembered him saying, like, I'd really like to be a pitcher. And I was like, well, that's not the way it works when you're 9. Like, they're going to move you around. They're going to have you play everywhere. We're not doing specialization at 9 years old. It doesn't work that way. But he was really interested in that. And he started to get excited about it. Like, he started to get excited when we would get home. Hey, can you throw me some balls? Can we do some batting practice? And I was like, wow, that's encouraging. And then I went to practice with his team on Saturday. It just so happened to be that I didn't have a game until Saturday night, so this is like the first Saturday afternoon I had free to go to practice. And he was just as good, if not better, than the other kids on his team. And I was encouraged by that because, again, I think that was going to lead to him being more – if he was clearly the weak link, then it's just tough. It's tough because – the psyche of a kid is that gets into you and you feel that and you don't want to be there. Like you don't want to be at practice. But I noticed, one, he's really fast. He's very fast. Bothers me to my core how fast he is. I'm like, I'm jealous. I wish I was that fast when I was your age. Like at some point I might have to stop racing him pretty soon because my long legs are barely making up for how fast he is. So they're, like, having him run, and, like, it's almost – I was joking with Paul Valley about this last night. He's almost Lamar-like. It's like he's ashamed of his speed. Like, he realizes he's going to dirt everybody, but he doesn't want to embarrass his friends, so he, like, slows down to run with his friends instead of just taking them. But he's catching the ball okay. Okay. He's probably 6 out of every 10 or so I think he's catching. And he's got a feel for it. And when he hits, he's making contact every time. Like, there are not wasted swings. He's fouling. Some of them he's not. He's fouling off, but he's making contact. And so I'm encouraged, right? Like, I'm encouraged. This could be something. But then I notice on Saturday that they're pulling him aside and having him practice pitching, and I'm like, well, that's interesting. And before the game yesterday, they said, so the way the first game works is you have the pitching machine for the first 3 innings, and then after everybody's hit at least once, then they let the kids start pitching. And so they tell us, like, hey, he's going to line up at pitcher because you still defensively have someone line up at pitcher even when the machine's pitching. And then we're going to pull him off the field, but we're going to have him work on pitching, and he's going to be the first pitcher. And I was like, oh, wow, like, that's cool. And it's already the excitement of the first game, and, like, he's feeling it. Like, he's really amped up. Last night was his first ever, like, actual game as a baseball player, and he was really excited. This is my 9-year-old I'm talking about. Really excited about it. And then you add in, like, solid single in his first at-bat, like, first swing. He does make solid contact. I need to get him out of the box a little bit quicker. I got to work on that, and he's still struggling.
Yeah, I saw the video. He wanted to admire it a little.
Yeah, he was watching it a little bit, and then.
Well, I mean, once he start putting him over the fence, that'll be okay.
Right. He's also slowing down as he approaches the bag. Like, I got it. Like, I heard his coaches trying to explain to him on Saturday, like, no, run through the bag, but we got to work on that a little bit. I didn't get video, but like the next kid up hit a ground ball right to short, and he was probably going to be out no matter what at second base.
Broke up the double play.
No, but he didn't slide, and I'm like, you love sliding, like this is your chance. There's nothing that you like more than getting the moment you have the opportunity to get dirty. You're all in. What are you doing? We're encouraging you now to get dirty. So he didn't slide, so I got to work on that a little bit. But he makes solid good swing, solid contact, gets on base, like everything's good. And then one of the other coaches is having him practice pitching. And when he's practicing pitching, he's pitching. Like the motion is good, everything looks right. Then he got on the mound and got a little bit.
Cano stare down.
Right? Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah, he's actually doing the weird Kimbrel bit. He gets on the mound, and now the nerves are coming into play, right? Like now, so the first couple are lobs. Like the first couple are just lobs, but they're strikes. There's an umpire. He's calling them. They're strikes. And so now he's like, I think I can do this. And so he's not giving a leg kick or anything like that. And I still need to work on how much he steps into his pitches. But he's starting to pitch after that point. And he's throwing strikes. A couple of them got away from him. Like, they were probably 2 in an inning. And by the way, you get 6 strikes.
What?
Because they want the kids to they want them to be involved, right?
All right.
He's not wasting pitches. Like, there were a couple that got away from him, but a couple. Mostly, he's throwing strikes. And he strikes out the first batter, and he's excited. He strikes out the next one.
6 strikes?
Yeah, 6 strikes. Strikes out the next one.
So his pitch count's, 18 at this point?
Yeah, right. Strikes out the side.
Wow.
Now, again,
right, yeah.
He's still, sure, but he's still getting used to baseball, and so he doesn't even realize that the inning's over, right? I also think there's some confusion.
He's like, all right, who's next?
Because, the innings end at either 3 outs or 3 runs, so I think he's confused about whether or not, the inning ends. And so he's just sort of standing on the mound, and the coaches are fired up. Like, the coaches are excited because they had been working with him, and he had done a good job, and they're hollering from the bench, like, yeah, Graham! And all of a sudden he, looks up. And I think his mom is definitely hollering. Like, she is losing her mind. And I was there, and my dad was there, and my father-in-law were there, and we were all, we genuinely were pleased with what we saw, but more than anything, the smile on his face.
You're like, wow, in 10 years we'll be able to retire.
Yeah, that's what it is. Well, he's not left-handed. So.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does matter.
Talent plays.
That's true. I don't know that we're there yet. The smile on his face and the confidence that it gave him to have that be his first taste. And he ended up getting another hit at the plate, and his team won. I was emotional. Not trying to hide it because I don't want him to see that side of it, because I want him to feel like, hey, man, yeah, I expected that from I knew you were good. I didn't want it to. So I'm doing the bit where I'm legitimately crying, but then I'm maybe the best day I've had so far in my life as a dad. Just awesome. And more than anything, what it does for his confidence and to see him smile the way all the kids coming over and as the coaches are getting fired up, then all the other kids are like, oh, we just recognize that you struck out everybody. So now we're fired up too. So they're all, and these aren't none of these kids go to school with him because he's in a private school. So he's still trying to make friends with all of them. So to have every single one of the kids come off the field and kind of give him yeah, buddy, was a big moment for him. Man, God bless baseball. How can you not be romantic about baseball? And it's to take nothing away from, I love lacrosse. Everybody knows I love lacrosse. Everybody knows I love these other sports, but this is the most significant moment that we've had yet with my son in sports. And man, coming off the field, and as we were walking back to the car, I just said at one point, I'm like, you think you're digging baseball? He was like, I love this. And I was like, oh my God.
It's awesome.
Oh my God. it was everything for me as a dad. I'm getting emotional right now talking about it. Like I'm tearing up. It was a really special thing, man. And
they win.
They did win.
Okay.
I think somebody told me it was 6-3.
Wow.
Is what they won by. I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? I really am not worried about that. To me, the entirety of this is I want to see happy and confident. That's all I want out of this. I don't care. Boy, it'd be cool if like we found out that he was a baseball player, right? Like that'd be fun for him because then, you know, he could do it for a while. And I think that's a great thing for kids to find something that is a real skill and that they can love for a long time. But, you know, let's not kid ourselves. Like we're not doing it for that. It's for the structure. It's for the confidence and the joy. And, you know, it's not always going to be that way. Like there are going to be times where it's not going to go your way. Like that's the nature of baseball. We talk about it all the time. Like baseball is a sport where you fail more than you succeed. Maybe not Corbin Burns, but for everybody else, it's a sport where you fail more than you succeed.
Colton Cowser for a while, yeah.
Yeah, for a minute. We were starting to wonder. But so it's not always going to be that way, right? Like we know that not every night will be that way. But for it to have been his first taste of it, goes a long way. Goes a long way that he walked off that field feeling like $1 million. Like he felt like the star quarterback. He felt like, and everybody was talking to him about it, and they kept talking to him afterwards. And the shame is, and it was funny talking with the coaches after the game, like they can't let him pitch again because you got to let all the kids. Like that's just the nature of playing. Like you know, it's youth baseball, man. Like come on, you're playing rec ball. Like you gotta let everybody have their chance.
Don't get his mental reps in. And,
right. Well, and it was funny because like he said, I'd like him to keep working on his pitching because I think that he might be able to do it. And I was like, all right, so. You know, as we have the chance to do some work, I'm going to have him do some more work, and I'm going to ask my buddy Steve Johnson to do some work with him. Man.
Solid resource. Yeah.
You can't beat it. You just cannot beat that feeling. Like that, you know, I share these things with you. Some of you are like, yeah, I know. I've been a dad for a long time. I understand what it's like. And what I appreciate was the people that are like, dude, I'm happy that you get to feel it because I know what that feels like. And for those of you that, you know, might one day feel that feeling, I'm telling you, I have felt a lot of things in my life. I have, you know, outside of when they were born, it's one of the best feelings I've ever had. I mean, ever. I skipped trivia last night. I was like, I'm going to enjoy this with my son. Like, this was just a top life moment for me. I did end up later in the night. You know, it's funny. It was a really neat night for me. Later in the night, our friend Tyus Bowser hit us up and was like, hey, man, I'm in town. And we ended up getting together with him last night, too, for a bit. Like, later on, we actually met over at the Hamilton Sports Bar and Grill, where they do karaoke on Monday nights. And when we walked into a scene, Tyus got up and sang.
Really?
And killed it.
He did sing a couple times.
We finally got him to do it because we kept hearing, like, his mom would go on about what a good singer he was. And we couldn't get it out of him until Christmas time. He did. We got him to sing the Boyz II Men "Silent Night." Was that what it was? Right? I think that's what it was. Sounds right. And I wanted to get him. I'd wanted to get him to sing for so long, and then like last night we got there and Rita was like, "Well, I want to sing," and then Ty was like, "I think I'm going to sing too." I'm like, "Yeah!" So that was really cool. But it was a really neat night for your pal all around. I'm sorry I missed trivia because they finished in second. As it turns out, I probably would have been the difference.
Oh, man.
I don't know if you saw any of the questions that they missed. Yeah.
Did not see.
Griffin's still in the group chat despite the fact that he's very much not in the group.
Oh, yeah.
Despite the fact that he is very much not. He was a tourist. Showed up for 1 week and said, I'm good.
I did my part. I mean, we won.
Yeah, that's right. You wanted to retire undefeated? Is that what it was?
I mean, yeah. I would expect to win again. When I'm in the building, yeah.
The Borg Warner Trophy is awarded to the winner of what race that occurs every year over Memorial Day weekend?
You're asking me?
Yes. What do you think I'm asking?
The Borg Warner.
By the way, this one's so easy I couldn't believe it was a question.
This one?
Yes.
Tour de France. I don't know.
Are you Memorial Day weekend?
Yeah. What race?
You don't know what race is run on Memorial. John in Little Rock right now is ready to murder you with his bare hands.
Don't do that, John. come on.
He goes
Give me a minute.
every year now.
So it's in somewhere around the Mississippi.
I'm not telling you where it is.
Race.
I will tell you that he travels to this event.
Okay. I don't know why. The only thing I associate with Memorial Day is baseball and lacrosse.
Yes, Lacrosse Championship weekend. There's a pretty big American event every year on the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend.
The New York Marathon.
Oh, my God. Is this for real?
No, I don't. Yes. What race Memorial? Like Sunday or Monday?
It's a car race.
I'm just starting naming tracks. Daytona.
Oh, my God.
The
Indianapolis 500
okay.
is run every year on Memorial. Jesus.
I thought that was like in.
Christ.
I don't know. I thought it was coming up. Like this month, maybe. I don't know.
They apparently got this one, which they should. It's super easy. It's the which two schools were in both the men's and women's Final Fours. Like if you you better get. You better get. But yeah, they missed the Indianapolis 500 one. Apparently, the final was before Oppenheimer. What movie was the previous highest-grossing R-rated Best Picture winner at $460 million worldwide? R-rated Best Picture winner.
Most grossing.
Highest grossing, yes.
Wow, before Oppenheimer.
Yep.
What R-rated movies like?
It was my third guess.
Oh, okay. Did our movie guy get it?
Yes, they got it, and that was the only reason, because they were struggling apparently, but by getting the final, they ended up moving into second place.
I feel like it came out to 7.
No. Wait, the movie 7?
Yeah.
I don't 7 didn't win Best Picture. There's no way.
Oh, it had to win Best Picture.
Yes,
Okay,
Best Picture at the Academy Awards.
R-rated movie win Best Picture.
Highest grossing R-rated Best Picture winner.
Jeez, too many parameters here.
Well, but you
can I
start
just do an R-rated movie. Not 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
I don't think that one.
Didn't
win Best Picture.
I think it was nominated though,
Yeah.
for sure. Just skip the part. You don't know.
I don't know.
So my first guess was The Godfather, and then my second guess was The Godfather Part 2.
I guess Titanic.
It was not rated R. It was not rated R.
Some nudity in
Definitely
that?
not. There was boobs, yes, but it was not rated R, which was great for young Glenn Clark, who had to go see Titanic with a young lady that he liked.
Congrats.
And he looked up and he was like, hello. But we were all able to go see Titanic. None of us needed parental supervision for that one. PG-13, despite the fact that there were breasts on display in that
Halloween.
No, Halloween definitely did not win Best Picture.
Nice.
No, it was neither The Godfather nor The Godfather 2. And I guess when I looked at the number, $460 million, that'd be a whole hell of a lot of money for a movie to make at that time in history. So it had to be more modern than that. I just didn't know. Like my third guess, I didn't know if it was R-rated. I get why it was because of the violence, but it was like historical violence, so I did not know for sure that Gladiator was rated R.
Really?
I thought there was a chance that it was rated PG-13 just because of the historical context might have justified. It wasn't gratuitous violence necessarily, but apparently it was so violent that Gladiator was rated R, so that was the correct answer.
Yeah,
Gladiator. Man, that was a time where like movies could be movies, where you could just come up with a concept and make a movie, and it didn't have to be an IP that somebody already was aware of. Like you could just make a movie, like and people would go see it and say, the word of mouth would say, "This is a good movie, go watch it." Gladiator had a hold on us as a people, man. Like we all went and saw it the first weekend.
Ralphie and Sopranos did a whole bit on it for an entire season.
Dude, it really did. And like it's sad for me now because like we were talking about what was the stupid movie you told, the Sasquatch thing, and I'm like, could you imagine having the time? Could you imagine being in a place in your life where you're like, I'm going to spend time watching that? Proctor said it would be like a form of torture. I don't know. It might be interesting. Who knows?
Movie?
But I just can't imagine having the time. But in that era, when a film had good word of mouth, it did not matter what the IP was. It did not matter if a film had good word of mouth. American Beauty, for example, we all went and saw it. Everyone. We all had the time.
Everyone liked American Beauty?
Everybody liked American Beauty. Everybody was in on it. Now, some of that was just we all thought we were supposed to be on it because everybody said it was so good. I still think it holds up as a film. I still think it does.
Because I watched it. I don't know. I watched it somewhat recently. Like, because my mom was into it. I didn't know anything about it.
It had a hold on us as a people, man. And as a society, it had a hold on us. Now, I think horror movies can always accomplish that. Like, what was the one last year that Friday Nights at Freddy's, that like didn't really have like an IP that anybody knew, but was just got good word of mouth, and so everybody went and saw it. But it takes a lot now.
Oh, really? I heard it wasn't all that great. Maybe because people my age liked Five Nights at Freddy's, like the game, like we all played it.
Oh, was it a game?
Yeah, it was like a mobile game.
Oh, I didn't know that. It's not even. Then take it back. Then the IP, it wasn't original. I thought it was original IP.
Okay.
I thought it was.
Did you watch it?
No, I haven't watched it. No, not a chance.
Maybe you like it.
Maybe, I don't know, but I take back my statement. I thought it was original IP.
Well, because Josh Hutcherson was in it, and we were like, yeah, maybe this will be okay. And then as soon as it came out, nobody was like, everybody was just like, So I never. But yeah, that was like when I was in like middle school. Like it was like a little mobile game, and it was a lot of fun. It was really cool. I did like a quick project on it for one of my research classes. Just because
I don't
the
know
way
anything about it. I know
just because
zero.
just the way it like bridged across media essentially. Just because video game, and then there was like books on it. So
how about that?
And now a movie.
How about that? All right, that was I don't know how we got to the trivia because I didn't show up last night. No, I felt
Five
bad.
Nights at Freddy's not the most grossing movie. I don't think.
No, definitely not. I think it made a lot of money though. I think it was.
Didn't it go straight to like Peacock or whatever?
Oh, then maybe a lot of people just watched it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like everybody's talked about how successful it was. That's the. Five Nights at Freddy's
movie
film. No, it made $297 million at the box office.
Wow. Okay. Matthew Lillard was in it. Oh.
I was all in on Matthew Lillard when I was younger. He was in a lot of cool movies.
Scooby-Doo.
That's not the one that I'm thinking of.
Oh, he's Shaggy.
By the way, Josh Hutcherson's character was named Mike Schmidt.
Really? I wonder.
Really? Mike Schmidt? That's what they went with? Mike Schmidt?
I mean, like, they could have. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's not like there was a huge storyline to the, like, actual game and stuff. Or at least, when you dive into it, there was.
I don't know. I can't pretend to know.
Maybe the guy's name was Mike Schmidt. I don't know. I feel like they could have named him something else.
Matthew Lillard was in Scream, Scream 2, Hackers was a big one. SLC Punk was like an underground kind of film that was huge. She's All That, which was a defining film of that genre, and also I believe Shakespearean, if I remember correctly. Like it's a twist on a Shakespeare play. No, not Shakespeare. On George Bernard Shaw's play, Pygmalion. That's what it's a modern day take on. But he had a hell of a run, Matthew Lillard there. He was the Summer Catch. That was a big one, the baseball film.
The two Scooby-Doo movies were incredible.
Yeah, well, he also did those. I'm realizing now that Matthew Lillard might be what Vinny Chase was based on in Entourage. Like he
wasn't Aquaman.
He didn't have one. Yeah, he didn't have a highest grossing big film of all
Superhero.
time type of.
He's in trouble with the curve.
Matthew Lillard had a run, man. Like he had a run.
Oh, they've confirmed a Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
Well, it made $297 million at the box office. Of course they did.
Oh, he was in the animated Scooby-Doo WrestleMania with John Cena.
Enough. We come back in. We'll get a tidbit. We'll get to. We're gonna wind down for a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Hartford Community College will host the National Junior College Athletic Association's 2024 Men's Lacrosse National Championship and Women's Lacrosse Invitational on May 11th and 12th at Hartford Sports Complex, 401 Thomas Run Road in Bel Air, Maryland. The semifinals on May 11th include the Women's Invitational, with the Women's North A representative playing the Mid-Atlantic B representative at 10 a.m., and the Women's North B representative facing off against the Mid-Atlantic A representative at 12:30 p.m. For the men's championship, the number 1 seed will play the lowest remaining seed in the quarterfinal round at 3:30 p.m. The men's number 2 seed will face off against the highest remaining seed at 6 p.m. May 12th is reserved for the national championship games at noon for the women and 4 p.m. for the men. Tickets are $20 each day at hartfordevents.com or at the gate if available.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hungry? With 7 locations throughout Maryland, Glory Days Grill is always right around the corner. They have wings, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and drinks to satisfy everyone, as well as tons of televisions and sound delivered right to your phone. Glory Days is the best place to watch football or whatever your favorite sport is. While you're there, be sure to check out Goose Flight's Lager, named in honor of legendary Raven Tony Goose Siragusa. $2 of every can is donated to the Goose Flights Foundation. Glory Days Grill. Great food, good sports.
What company makes your home more energy efficient, purifies your air, kills all viruses, and qualifies you for $6,000 in rebates? A.J. Michaels Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis at ajmichaels.com.
Oh, honey, we better stop for gas soon. Let's pull into that Royal Farms.
Ugh, gas is so expensive.
Nope, it'll be cheaper than you think.
Why's that?
I signed up for Rofo Pay on the Royal Farms app. Now we save 15 cents per gallon at all Royal Farms.
Wow, that'll save us a ton of money. I love you more every day.
Well, then don't get a speeding ticket this trip, okay?
Sign up for Rofo Rewards and upgrade to Rofo Pay and save 15 cents a gallon on gas for a limited time. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? A.J. Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis, ajmichaels.com.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
Back in here as we wind down on a Tuesday edition of GCR. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you today by County Sports Zone. CountySports.zone is the website. You get all of the scores, schedules, rankings. You can play pick'em for high school boys and girls lacrosse, as well as baseball and softball here in the state of Maryland at CountySports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com.
The Lakers are in action tonight for the play-in. LeBron this season averaged over 25 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds this season at 39 years old. The next oldest player to reach...
Did I see that he's going to play in the Olympics again, too?
Oh, did he say that?
I think I saw that they were going to announce the USA. It was like
The
LeBron, Durant, Curry were all doing it again.
What year is it? It's this summer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Oh,
summer.
yeah. Cool. Sweet. Sweet. Good. I'm glad.
Adrian Wojnarowski reported last night. The USA Basketball finalizing its 2024 Paris Olympics roster. Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, Joel Embiid, Devin Booker, Tyrese Halliburton, Anthony Edwards, Drew Holiday, Bam Adebayo, and Anthony Davis. The team may initially keep one open spot.
They better win. The next oldest player to reach all of those marks, 25, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, not named LeBron James, happened in the 2017-2018 season. He was at the old age of 29 years old. Russell Westbrook.
Okay.
Russell
figured
Westbrook.
it was, yeah.
So LeBron just continues to do it. So, yeah, of course he's playing in the Olympics. Angel Reese went to the Chicago Sky, as we mentioned earlier, and she became just the second women's basketball player to have 2 separate streaks of 15-plus games with double-doubles.
Say that again?
2 separate streaks. So she had 2 streaks of 15 straight double-doubles in her career.
Quite impressive.
The first 23 games she played with LSU, all double-doubles, and then the final 16, she actually ended her career on a 16-game double-double streak as well.
And she had a double-double in, I don't remember, in the NCAA tournament, I want to say it was 13.
Was it like every game probably?
No, like the first 3, she had 9 rebounds. And like at Maryland, she had like 9 rebounds in her first 3 NCAA tournament games, and then everyone after that.
I'm not sure if you'll name the other player, but
double-doubles in 15 straight games 2 different times.
Correct.
She
went to
Rebecca Lobo.
Not Rebecca Lobo. She went to Oregon. She was a 2016 draft pick. Oh, she went in the second round. Yeah, I guess you're not going to get her.
So yeah, it's not Sabrina Ionescu.
No. It is Jillian Aline.
Okay. Yeah. I vaguely.
Yeah, she's now overseas. She was drafted, but she was with the Lynx for a little bit. She was with the Mystics for a minute. She was drafted by the Mercury. But that is the only other player this century to do that, women's basketball, to do that.
I hear she's good.
You can go ahead and put your Indiana Fever futures in because the Fever selected Caitlin Clark, obviously, first overall, and she will be paired with last season's number 1 overall pick, Aaliyah Boston.
Yeah.
So and they become the third team. The third team? No, the fourth team to have the first overall pick in consecutive seasons. All of the previous instances, they won titles with their team.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah. You name any chance you can name the 3 other times that we went back to back first overall pick.
Was Brittany Griner one of them?
She was not.
No. Was Elena Deladon one of them?
No, she wasn't.
Okay.
It was you want the teams, I guess?
Was Brianna Stewart one of them?
Yes, she was.
For Seattle?
Yes.
So, yeah, I got to remember what the girl's name was. Oh, my God.
She was the first overall pick in 2016, the 2015 first overall pick.
From where?
She went to Notre Dame.
Oh, Lloyd.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jewel Lloyd.
Yeah.
Jewel Lloyd. And then before that, it was also the Seattle Storm.
Oh, Sue Bird?
Yes, Sue Bird. She followed the 2001 first overall pick.
Man. I don't know.
She was. Yeah, I can't give you cut. So she's from Australia.
Oh, Lauren Jackson. Yeah,
Lauren Jackson. Yes, Lauren Jackson, Sue Bird, and then the aces. Well, they went from the starters.
Jackie Young and Kelsey Plum, right?
They actually had 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they went first overall 3 times in a row. So yeah, Plum in 17, Jackie Young in 19.
Oh, and Asia Wilson in between.
Asia Wilson in between.
Sure.
Yep. There you go.
Right.
Do you want one more? I have another one.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Carlos Santana. This one came from Kevin Brown on the broadcast last night.
He won Album of the Year, Record of the Year, Song of the Year for Smooth, featuring Rob Thomas.
No, the baseball player.
Oh.
Carlos Santana.
It's not as smooth.
Yeah. He has, among active players, he has played the 3rd most games among active players. I want to see if we can round out. I mean, if we can name all the guys that have played over 1,600 games, Carlos Santana has played 1,944 games.
It's remembering who's still active.
Yeah.
So
I'd be asking for the top 10 if we can do the guys with 1,600 that have all played 1,600 games.
So Salvi.
Salvi, no.
What?
Salvi Perez has played
How?
only 1,400 games.
That is.
Can you name the 2 guys ahead of Santana?
Okay, well, McCutcheon.
Andrew McCutcheon, yes.
Home run number 300 this weekend. Goldschmidt?
Not Goldschmidt. He would be 5th, though, on the list. 1790.
I don't want to embarrass. Freddie Freeman?
Freddie Freeman would be 4th on the list. He's 40 games behind Carlos Santana.
Then do they count Joey Votto?
Yes, we are counting Joey Votto.
Is he playing yet, or is he still?
He's still with Toronto.
But is he on? I remember he was on the DL when we did this most recently.
Let me see what he's
or
up
the
to.
IL, whatever.
Let me see what he's up to.
Yeah,
he played the most games among active players, Joey Votto. When we're calling him active,
it's tough now.
Votto, McCutcheon, Santana, Freeman, Gold. I mean, you got the top 5. Pretty much.
Nelson Cruz isn't still active anymore.
No.
He's finally done.
Let's see how many games Nelson Cruz played.
Oh, Justin Turner.
Oh no, he just misses. He's about 50 games shy of the 1,600 mark here. Missing out on the top 10.
Man. Are we yet at the point where Harper, Machado, or Trout are on this list?
Machado is.
Machado
Harper,
is? Okay.
Oh no, Harper's not. Darn. Harper's also about 75 shy of 1,600. Trout is at 1,500, so he's got 100 games to go. But yes, Manny Machado would be 10th on the list, 1,602.
How about J.D. Martinez?
No JD.
Christian Yelich?
No Christian Yelich. I don't think Yelich. Okay, 1400.
How about Altuve?
Jose Altuve would be 7th on the list, 1686. Missing number 6. He's played 1,700 games. He is currently... Actually, hold on, let me double check.
1,700 games.
Currently an LA Dodger.
Oh, Hayward.
Jason Hayward, yes. Missing 8 and 9 on this list. Yeah, Nelson Cruz, if he was still playing, he would be the number 1. He played
How
over
about
2,000
Chris
games.
Bryant?
Not Chris Bryant. Dealt with a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
He's less than 1,300.
Wow. How about... All right, give me a team. I don't want to do this forever.
Okay, he is. We were talking about it. He's one of the guys that switched teams this year. He was with one team for a while. He is now on the Cardinals.
Oh, Crawford. Yeah,
yes,
Brandon
Crawford. And now a New York Yankee.
DJ LeMahieu.
Close. DJ LeMahieu would be 11th on the list. He's played 1,560 games.
It's not Stanton.
It's not Stanton.
Rizzo?
Stanton's also, Stanton is, yes, Anthony Rizzo is number 9. But LeMahieu, Justin Turner, Stanton, those guys round out. And then to round out the top 15, Nolan Arenado would be the one 15 you missed.
It's a good list. Good list. All right, very good. Tubular is brought to you by...
Votto's dealing with an ankle, so he's still... He apparently can swing the bat, but he is not playing in games yet. So maybe we'll have to remove him from the active designation.
Until he retires, I guess. Tubular brought to you by Atman's Daily, now open in Harbor Point. Everything that you love. What?
He sprained his ankle while stepping on a bat.
That's not
spring
good.
training.
That's not good. Everything you loved about the original Atman's, now also with a full bar. It's the place to go before and after games. Atman's Harbor Point, atmansdeli.com to find their daily specials. Here's what's coming up tubular-wise tonight. The Orioles indeed continue their series with the Twins. Grayson Rodriguez against Chris Paddock just after 6:30 on Masson. Maryland baseball's at Delaware at 4 on Flow Sports. Did you see how the Maryland game ended on Sunday? I
did not.
They were in extra innings against Northwestern, got a home run from, I think, Eddie Hakopian in the top of the 10th, and then in the bottom of the 10th, was it Honar or Hojnar? I don't know how to pronounce it. A walk-off home run robbery.
Wow.
Over-the-wall home run robbery.
The Northwestern guy robbed the home run.
No,
he did.
Robbed a Northwestern home. The game was at Northwestern. The game ended.
It was on SportsCenter.
It was number 2, I think, on the top 10. Sure, if by all means, go ahead and pull it up. It was an incredible. I mean, like an incredible way for the game to end with a flat-out home run, like a legitimate, not a catch on the warning track, like a legitimate home run robbery for the final out of the 10th inning for Maryland to hang on and beat Northwestern on Sunday. That, yes, ended up being number 2 on SportsCenter's top 10 plays of the day. It was a very, very cool moment. I was thinking that we should have invited him on, but then I realized that, they play another game on Tuesday.
In the stand to see that in person. Maryland Northwestern, Maryland's Elijah Lambros. With the bunnies at the wall.
Yeah, legit.
And just bailing out
That's
his
the out.
pitcher.
That's the last out of the game. That's how they won.
Lambros with the clutch grab. Maryland with the win.
Cool moment there. Cool moment. TNT tonight, the play-in tournament gets underway. Lakers, make sure I have this right. Lakers-Pelicans winner is the 7th seed, right?
Yes, yeah.
And then Warriors-Kings is winner plays the Lakers-Pelicans loser to be the 8th seed.
Correct.
So Lakers-Pelicans, why they do this?
So the Kings Warriors is an elimination game.
Is an elimination game. Yeah. Lakers-Pelicans is you clinch your spot.
Yeah.
So Lakers-Pelicans 7:30, then Warriors-Kings 10 o'clock tonight. Both games on TNT. What?
I'm trying to. I forget. So people were saying the Lakers are the Lakers going to throw the game so they don't have to play against. They'd rather play the Thunder. So they can try to get the 8th seed so they can play the Thunder instead of the Nuggets.
Stop it. Masson 2, Nationals Dodgers at 10, TBS Braves Astros at 8, MLB Network this afternoon, Rangers Tigers at 1. Apparently it's also on ESPN Plus, and Cubs Diamondbacks late tonight. That's scheduled for 11. I think it starts before that, so it must be joined in progress. Monumental Capitals Flyers at 7. Is this a win and you're in thing for the Capitals tonight, I think?
More or less. I know it was definitely, they needed that win yesterday.
I thought they had to win
They may
both.
need something
else
to happen, like if they win. I think it is. I want to say it is.
ESPN Maple. You look that up. I keep reading. ESPN Maple Leafs Panthers 7:30. ESPN Plus and Hulu for Blackhawks Golden Knights at 10. Flames Canucks at 10. Champions League this afternoon on CBS. Barcelona and Paris Saint-Germain leg 2 there at 3, and then on Paramount Plus leg 2 between Borussia Dortmund and Atletico Madrid at 3. The USA Network for WWE NXT tonight at 8.
It is winning you're in for the Caps. They are tied with the Red Wings, but they have the tiebreaker over the Red Wings. So yeah, if they win, they're in.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Very good. Non-sports. Is it if they lose they're out? Or?
No, so if the Pens they're playing the Flyers tonight, so I don't know. I guess if a Flyers win gives the Flyers the tiebreaker.
All right. This is like us doing the thing earlier in the show. We don't know. We don't
just
know.
Win.
Yeah, do that. Well, I don't care. Yeah. It's not going to affect my life in any way. Do or do not. There is no try.
Bloom will be on Stephen Colbert.
Promoting a new Pirates of the Caribbean film.
I was hoping that would be it. No, apparently I think he's doing like a little documentary thing where he was traveling. He started doing some extreme sports. The show comes out later this week.
Okay.
Sure. It's like the Jason Momoa thing.
I'll get right on that.
Kamala Harris and Nick Offerman are both going to be on Jimmy Kimmel tonight.
Are they promoting a new Pirates of the Caribbean
movie?
They're
both promoting Civil War together.
Is that what it is? Weird.
Yeah. And then the penultimate episode of Shogun on FX, which everyone says is really good. I feel like I need to check it out.
I've heard good things. I have not watched.
And then I think you got another book clubber on Paramount Plus, but I guess does everyone have Paramount Plus? I don't know.
Well, they're gonna. Well,
there
was quite the controversy afoot during the last book club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Control. Yeah. What was happening in?
Was prepared to boot Tim out of book club. Man. He did not watch.
And he had like extra time.
I don't want to talk about it. Old Barbalace. Rita apparently is benevolent and said that we would let him stay. He has to provide snacks for the next book club gathering and specific snacks. She's asked for Mississippi Mud, the 7-layer chocolate thing that they do. I have requested a charcuterie board. I don't know if Ken got a specific request in or if he just said those requests were good enough. And
Ken's like, I won't pile on.
In the program, the one that we watched the last time, it's like they're literally torturing these kids at this boarding school.
Yeah.
One of the forms of torture was they had to do this palms up, palms down, palms together, palms apart, palms up. They would have to do it for hours. Hours straight. And so we made Tim do it for the entirety of the book club meeting for not watching.
Yeah,
but we're doing
pretty much the same thing, yeah.
Yes, we're doing Quiet on Set next. And
okay.
he'd apparently already watched that one, which we weren't doing for book club, and hadn't watched the one we were doing for book club. He then watched it that night after we did book club and was texting us about it. Yo, this is effed up. Right, we could have talked about that during book club. Barbalace. Love him, but he had to pay a penalty, and he's lucky because I would have kicked him out. I would have had no, sorry, you're out of here. That's the way that it would have gone, but Rita apparently is benevolent and allowed him to stay in book club.
So it's called Control-Alt-Desire, and it's this guy, Grant Amato, and he spent like thousands, it might have even been like millions on like cam girls, like across like overseas, and so he ended up like stealing money from like his family, like his mom, his dad, his brother, and then just kind of out of nowhere, he killed his whole family.
Dude, addiction is real, man.
So
like, I keep trying to like people like.
And it's really like watching the trailer. Like the guy seems like he's like just talking all normal, and it's really wild. So
all right, yeah, it might be one. Yeah. Might be one. We didn't really. Somebody mentioned we didn't talk about the new hydration station. I didn't like it when I first. We were talking. It's funny. I was talking about this with Rita and Tyus last night. Like when I first saw it, I didn't like it. It took. Was it Cedric that hit the 2-run homer?
Yes.
That
once you saw Jordan Westbrook doing it.
I was like, okay, I can dig the idea of letting all the guys on base. The idea being like if somebody hits a grand slam, you've got enough. And like that's a cool visual is all 4 of them going over to get the.
There's like 6 hoses on it though.
Is it 6? I thought it was 4. I heard somebody last night say it might be 8 because they were calling it the Octobong.
Yeah, that's what RDT was calling.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Maybe it is only 4.
It
Okay.
looked like 4 to me. That's
Yeah,
what it looked like.
Okay.
Although I think the one is the center.
Yeah, the one that was what was throwing me off.
Yeah.
It's 4.
So that one works because it means you have 4 specifically for if you hit a grand slam. I don't know that I like it more than I like
maybe
the homer hose, but
if for solo homers, maybe we break out the homer hose, just the good old fashioned.
I would not be opposed to that.
Yeah.
I would not be. I don't know.
Because it was weird. So when Gunner, once I realized they had it, I was watching the dugout, and it was weird seeing Gunner have to walk all the way to the end.
Yeah,
of the
that's the
dugout
way that it almost
by
sort of just
himself.
felt like he was going to a water fountain a
Yeah.
little bit, or getting it didn't feel like a prop.
Mm-hmm.
That you earn. I don't know. It
when
sort of
there's
felt
4
like
guys on when there's
I
3
think
or 4
that'll be a
guys
good
going,
visual,
it'll be cool.
and it was a good visual for the Mullins
Westbrook.
home run. But I don't. I'm torn on it. I'm torn on how I feel about it. I feel like you just figured out that you got your juju back from bringing back the thing that worked last year. Don't mess with it.
Well, I mean, it worked last night again. So.
R.I.P. handlebars, whatever that was supposed to be. God bless.
Wonder whose idea that was.
Danielle Allentuck wrote about it for the banner, I think.
Okay.
And I want to say it was Cedric that was handed. Somebody was handed the handlebars the first time. Was like, I had no idea what to do with them. Handlebars. All right, that's nothing. Let's move on. All right, thanks today to Patrick Stevens. Thanks to Wes Brown, and an amazing conversation with Trey Taylor. That was incredible. Ed Reed's cousin/nephew, who clearly has made a huge impact on his life, and a guy that's going to get drafted out of Air Force. So, yeah, you can get all that in the greatest hits section of the
Oh my God, it's so good.
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow on the program, is Drew coming in?
I actually at this point I don't know.
Boy, it'd be a real shame. Be a real shame if he wasn't able to come in here and try to talk about Scotty Scheffler for 40 minutes. We're going to do a draft segment
Yes,
tomorrow.
Eric
at Home, NFL Network, NFL.com. And Eric Hosmer is joining the program
Big
tomorrow.
Eric Day.
Yeah, that's a good point. Recently retired Royals and Padres slugger. Yeah, beat the Orioles in the playoffs a few years back. Try to avoid that, but he's going into media now. So we'll talk some baseball, talk some Orioles with Eric Hosmer on the program tomorrow as well. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Ruth's Chris, Live Casino and Hotel, Atman's Deli, A.J. Michaels, Guilford Hall Brewery, Royal Farms, Costas Inn, Hartford Community College, Glory Days Grill, your local Toyota dealer, and BuyAToyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Tuesday evening. Go Birds. Dukes up.